Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Blue Ribbon Lounge podcast.
Welcome back to the lounge.
We are Happy New Year, everybody.
Yes, the first podcast of the new year.
Always one of my favorites, even though this is only the second one.
Yeah, soon to be a tradition. Two makes a tradition.
Two is a tradition. We got a special guest for you. Hollywood Dave is back in the building.
Hello. Good to be back. I think it's been like a year.
Pretty much. To the day, you would probably say.
I think. Yeah, possibly.
Just about.
Yeah, Happy New Year, guys. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Back.
Yeah, hopefully nothing tragic happens like right before this podcast comes out. And we're like, Happy New Year, Russia bombed America.
Yeah, right.
Thank you so much for coming down to the lounge. We're missing Chicken Boy today. Rest his soul. He's working.
Yeah.
That son of a bitch. I never thought he would miss hanging out at the Blue Ribbon Lounge for work.
I know. I'm sure he'd rather be here.
And we couldn't get Scott Standard.
Yeah, parenting.
He's parenting. The one day that really worked the best for me and Podcast Dave was not the best for him. So,
am I guest Dave if he's Podcast Dave?
You're Hollywood Dave.
Oh, Hollywood Dave, right.
Yeah.
Right.
You're in the building.
That's right. You just said that 15 seconds ago, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember now.
So it's going to get pretty confusing with two Daves and no Chicken Boy. But we're going to do our best. We got some stuff coming in from other past guests. And let's start with the episode itself. So Hollywood Dave, you came up with the idea and you pitched it to me and I was like, no, I don't want to do that. Yeah. And then I told it to Podcast Dave and he was like, that'd be a good podcast. I don't know. And I was like, full fuck, if both my Daves, devil on each shoulder, is telling me to do the pod, then I guess I am. So what I was kind of talking to people about was some sort of paradox band type thing where you go see a show and then you buy their album and it's like sucks, or you've been listening to a band forever and they finally come around and you get tickets and you go see them and they fucking blow, or one-hit wonders, that type of thing. Your pitch was a little bit darker, but that's what I was going with when I made my list.
Yeah, my pitch was a little darker, and we can talk about that later if you want once we get through this. But mine was more about a celebration of just all-around crappy music that a buddy and I used to do. But this is going to be fun too because there's all of us have seen a lot of.
You shout out your buddy, first name only.
Well, it's Joel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Joel Standard. Did he have a nickname in the band?
Mr. 49.5 was his nickname. The bass player right before Chicken Boy was Joel. We can call him Joel, can't we?
That sounds like a fake name, so sure.
Exactly.
Brother of Axel.
Yeah, so it's the idea that I had pitched, right? He and I used to do a crappy music contest, and we would make a terrible CD, and our friends would judge it, and we would then declare a winner. We called it the Suck Off, and it was a lot of fun. Right?
It was that really might have to be the name of it.
Yeah, and it was that idea came from when we were at a bar one night, and the bartender was like, "Hey, I'm going to go out of town. Why don't you guys make me a mix CD?" This is like seriously, this is like 20 years ago. So she hands us the list of songs that she wants, and I'm just like, "No, I'm not. Nope, not doing that one. Nope."
It's like, and call me maybe. Like.
Yeah. And then Joel and I looked at each other. And we're like, "What if we just made a CD of terrible songs?" And then what if we judged it? But anyway, so that was the original pitch, And someday Joel and I will. Patent that idea and we'll make it into a board game.
It'll be like the opposite of like a Kids Bop type thing, or
it's like
Shit Bop.
It's like a home game.
That might be the name of the podcast.
Right? You make your terrible CD. You make two friends sit and judge it, and then you declare a winner. It's a nice little evening.
So, do you remember how many of those you won or lost? Or?
Okay, so of course, as with any type of game with your friends, right? There's always going to be some sort of controversy. Yeah. The first one I won. It was more of a technicality because
if Joel was here, he'd say he won.
I mean, we can call him. But no, I definitely won that because it was a technicality. You got points for naming your CD.
Oh,
he forgot to name him. So
that was one of my favorites of mixed CDs was naming them.
Yeah, exactly. So I got like points for naming. He forgot to name. I'm the winner. So then we had a second one to really settle the score, and that one ended in a tie.
Oh, okay. So you both made whole CDs?
Yeah, 13.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot.
This was like 2002, right?
Did you have any that overlapped often?
No, we never did. There were no doubles. But yeah,
that's impressive.
So 2002, you're sitting down in front of whatever streaming music service we were using at the time to steal, Napster. I think it was like I think we might have been on to LimeWire at that time. And I remember sitting there with my 56K modem, so one song could take me 20 minutes to get, and just sitting there and trying to think.
Download it and go make a sandwich.
Trying to think of like terrible songs, right? And like now with the access we have to music, right?
Yeah.
With all these streaming sites.
These kids don't know.
They don't know.
Right.
I mean, we could do a grumpy old man podcast and just be like, these kids don't know. Right. I don't know how good they got it right now, right?
That might be the name of the podcast.
Grumpy Old Man podcast.
Well, I mean, yeah, because you could probably pull up Google and be like terrible songs, and there'll be lists. You can just pick from.
For sure.
Back then,
kids these days.
There's probably, you probably go on. There's Spotify users that probably have just a list of shitty songs. Yeah. So yeah, that was the original pitch, but I'm glad I got that out there. I really want to get that out there, get that out in the world, so you can play this game at home, kids.
Yes, please.
It's fun.
And you know what? If you're listening, drop in the comments or in the Facebook group, Blue Ribbon Lounge Podcast, your favorite shitty songs. I'd love to see a bunch of YouTube videos, like the music videos that go along with them.
Well, that would be a good game too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could just kind of ignore the song. The song could be kind of crappy, but that video is really shitty. That video is really
You're taking it to the third dimension at that point.
And it's all about fun, right? We were just having fun with it. It's not about shitting on these artists. You know?
Yeah.
Hey, they're making money.
Yeah.
They're probably songs on the radio.
Yeah. I mean, and look, I use like Pac-Man Fever for one song. I mean, it's kind of a shitty song, but it's also kind of awesome.
Yeah.
I don't even know that one.
You don't know Pac-Man Fever?
Uh-uh.
Oh, Dave. These kids don't even know.
I know, right?
They don't even know. These guys made a whole album of songs inspired by video games.
Okay.
There's like a Donkey Kong song. There's like a Pac-Man song.
I'm checking it out.
Yeah.
Pac-Man Fever, I think it was even on like one of those dance shows where they're like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like American Bandstand or something?
Doing the Pac-Man Fever.
Do you remember American Bandstand?
I know what it is. I never watched it.
Yeah.
Man, this is gonna
I didn't think they had that past like the 60s.
I feel like this is going to turn into the Daves asking Matt if he knows.
Yeah, do you know who Dick Clark is?
Yeah, right?
I do know who Dick Clark is.
All right.
Only from the New Year's Eve ball drops.
Yeah.
That was my thing when before COVID and people were coming around the Blue Room Lounge a little more often. We would always, but right before the ball actually dropped, we'd watch old vintage ball drops.
Wow.
That was kind of fun.
Like from 82?
Yeah.
Is that...
Yeah.
well, like, I mean, they had them all the way back in black and white and shit.
Yeah, 60s, right?
Yeah, for sure.
When Dick Clark was 45 years old.
Yeah.
Do we just want to get right into it?
Sure.
I'll go first. I don't know how I want to start this off.
What's the first category? Are there categories?
Oh,
There could be categories.
I don't know.
My first category is popular bands that I didn't get into until way later.
Oh.
So this one is, and like I'm not dissing the artist,
No,
but
I like this.
I never listened to Metallica almost ever till I met my wife.
Okay.
And then I only ever listened to it when she listened to it. Obviously, it's all over the radio and shit, but not until Hardwired to Self-Destruct album came out in 2016. And really, I only started listening to it because me and my wife and her brother went up to Newton Speedway, and we saw them. And fucking Ashton Kutcher was there, and some weird band opened up. I can't remember. There was a band opened up, and then a DJ, and then Metallica, and it was a good time. We were in the nosebleeds. We looked up behind the top of the bleachers. We were like fucking 3 stories up.
Yeah,
it was weird. They were all shaking in the wind and stuff.
So how long ago was this?
2016.
2016.
Well, I went to Newton Speedway September 6th, 2017. So the album had been out for a while.
Okay.
It was probably the end of the tours when they hit
I didn't
Iowa.
even know that record.
Yeah, I was going to say that too.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a good record. It didn't make me listen to any of their old catalog, but I really liked the record. And for that year, I was spamming it a lot. It's just interesting that, their best stuff is for sure behind them.
Yeah. Have you gone back and listened to anything old?
No.
No?
Not except with my wife. And I think she's a big
like Master of Puppets and
Load and Reload is what she likes, or maybe Ride the Lightning, somewhere in there.
Yeah, but that's two very different Metallicas there.
Right. And you know what? I don't listen to them, so I don't really know. So, wife, don't hate me for telling everybody you like the wrong Metallica.
I have written down right here, Metallica, everything after the Black Album.
And
that sucks.
Well, was Saint Anger after the Black Album?
Oh yeah, Saint Anger is way more recent.
Yeah, she has let me know that that's their worst album. So
that was like right after he got sober, so he was like trying some new
Saint
stuff.
Anger was?
Yeah, and that's what Saint Anger is about.
And I think that's what we learned, that sobriety it's just a no-win.
No win.
Well, I've heard that like Death Magnetic and the one they just put out, they're like, that they're good. Like,
yeah, I don't know if they just put out a brand new album.
Yeah, I think there is something new out there now.
Yeah. At least a single.
Yeah, there is for sure a single out there now.
Yeah, but I just couldn't get into it when I worked at the casino.
Yeah.
Guy with the beard just blew a drill.
The guy with the beard, Santa Claus. Sorry,
man, I just drew a blank.
The guy with the beard.
Yeah.
Edit that out.
Not
in the band or at the
tech.
Oh, okay.
Andrew.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Edit that out too.
Yeah. But he was leaving shift and I was on shift. He's like, "Oh, you got to listen to Death Magnetic. It's like old school Metallica." And he put it on and left. I listened to it for a little bit and then just like turned it off.
Yeah. So, but Metallica, you could do a whole podcast just on Metallica, the different eras.
Yeah.
How people that get into Metallica, in the Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets era, hate everything now.
Yeah.
And people that may have got into it, like your wife with Load or Reload, that's the Metallica they like.
And that's the thing. Yeah. Like, you like the Metallica you grow up with.
Yeah.
And this is kind of technically the Metallica I grew up with.
I knew I didn't like Metallica anymore. So I fell in love with Injustice for All. That was like, I saw the video for one on MTV.
Oh, maybe that's her favorite one. That sounds familiar.
Like in 4th or 5th grade.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, what is this? Because I didn't really, I was still kind of hair band. Like, I loved me some Def Leppard in 4th grade.
Yeah.
And then I saw that, and there was 2 kick drums.
Right.
And that guitar sound, I was like, oh, I like this.
Right, because there's that build up, and then it's like...
Yep, that's the part. See, Dave and I could we could probably do the whole song, right? But then, as I get into high school, and all of a sudden, like the girls' volleyball team, their entrance music is Inner Sandman.
Oh,
I'm like, and then I'm like, come on, you guys don't know nothing about no Metallica.
Well,
like a little douchebag.
That's the thing that, like, old school Metallica people don't like the Black Album because it made them so popular.
That's exactly, that's the Black Album, right?
So, well, the Black Album was good, but it was the first time that their songs were like 3 minutes long.
Yeah,
before that they were like 8 or 13 minutes long.
And Lars was playing a lot more of just kind of like an AC/DC kind of groove,
Yeah.
It's just different. And I listen to the Black Album a lot. I don't really care for it anymore, but
right, it's almost like you've heard it too much.
Yeah, for sure. And in the end, right, we sit here and we say, I like this and this one's better. And in the end, people should just be able to like what they like.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
That's as you get older, man.
It's good to talk shit, though, Dave.
But, no, like, 13-year-old Dave Hughes was like, no, you don't know about Master of Puppets. Get out of here.
Yeah,
and I'm not even that hardcore of a Metallica fan. There was dudes that was, they discovered it long before I did at that age. But
yeah.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. So that was my first one.
Screw Load. I hate that record.
Yeah, and Reload. What the fuck were you thinking?
Yeah.
So there's that one song, I don't know what it is, but at the end there's an old lady just being like, la,
oh, Marianne Faithful. Marianne Faithful. Yeah.
That, I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was...
That one wasn't too bad.
That one was... I'm with you. That one will get stuck in your head.
Yeah.
What was the category again? Metallica?
Well, my category was maybe bands you got into too late or something.
Okay. So I remember, as a kid, like when my alarm would go off for school in the morning, right? And it was always on 97X, right?
Yeah.
And you'd hear the same Led Zeppelin tunes and the same Skid Row tunes. And one band I got so tired of. And then as I got older, college years, and Pink Floyd was a band that everybody was playing all the time. I was like, I am so tired of this. I don't want to listen to this. I want to listen to stuff from let's listen to some Primus or some Helmet, right? And then I don't even know how I kind of stumbled back into them years later. I think it's important for me to listen to a band on my terms, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
That's important to everybody, I think.
yeah. Like, I don't.
Could you ever have like an older person but like you were saying, your buddy from past job was like, "Oh, you should really listen to this."
Yeah.
It's almost like anytime somebody says that, I'm like, "Man, let's pass."
Absolutely. And then like 2 years later, I'll pick that back up and like, oh yeah, this is cool. And then
Yeah.
they'll remind you, 2 years ago I told you should
about
listen
that.
to that.
Yeah.
You know. But again, you need to discover it on my terms. So Pink Floyd is one of those bands that like, and I mean everybody knows Pink Floyd too. Well, do you, Matt?
Yeah, Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. So
One Oz.
the Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of
one.
Oz,
Yeah. Do you know about that?
Where you sync them up
Yeah.
and
See, I like this. We'll just ask Matt questions. Like, do you know about
Right,
that?
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you know,
Yeah, that's old. Do you know about that?
Right.
that sounds like
Yeah.
the name of the podcast.
But that one, Dark Side of the Moon, is one of their better ones, I'd say. And The Wall is not bad, but
Yeah, it's not bad. There's a
Yeah.
ton of material too.
Yeah,
There's a
exactly.
ton of material.
What
And
was
there's
that?
There's different.
Did they do
eras.
Love in an Elevator?
that's
Oh, whoops.
Speaking of different eras too, right? That's another band, Aerosmith, that has all kinds of different eras. It's almost like different genres inside a band, right?
right.
Yeah, my first introduction to Aerosmith was that fucking what was that space movie?
Oh,
Armageddon, that song they did.
Oh,
And it's supposed to be like that's supposed to be like the one song they didn't write or something like that.
Oh, really?
That's what I think.
I don't know. That was like the Aerosmith where every song was a ballad.
Yeah.
You know, there was Crazy.
I got
there was
ballads
Amazing.
later, too.
Oh, I like
Right.
ballads too.
That was the what's her name? The blonde chick era.
Alicia Silverstone.
Yeah, she was in all their videos.
Crying, Crazy, and Amazing. Where they
Yeah.
had that stretch. There was a great Saturday Night Live bit where they would just. It was Aerosmith's greatest hits.
Yeah.
But it was all just 3 variations of that song. Those songs. So it'd be
Yeah.
like Crying, Amazing, Crazy. Or Crazy, Crying, Amazing.
Sounds right. But they also had like a run in the 70s, I think.
Absolutely.
With
yeah.
like Sweet Emotion.
Yeah,
and-
Back in the Saddle, right?
Is that Toys in the Attic?
I think.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, because
You guys are so knowledgeable.
the one with the cow, Pump, something like that. Or
Pump.
is that the one with the cow on the cover?
Pump was like the 80s. That had like Ragdoll on it. And,
Okay.
Dude Looks Like a Lady.
All right.
I don't know if you can write that song today. That's probably one of those you probably can't do now.
Right.
Probably shouldn't do.
Exactly.
Yeah, Steven Tyler, come on. What were you thinking?
Okay.
Canceled.
Yeah, exactly.
Because in the 90s, Aerosmith was like living on the edge.
That's Love in the Elevator.
Yeah, Love in the
I think
Elevator.
happened in the 90s. So, yeah, my high school.
Right.
I remember things by like high school, right? Was it before high school or after high school?
Oh, like it seems like earlier you could go in 10-year chunks, but when the 2000s hit, all the music kind of just morphed together. There isn't like a early 2000, 2010, 2010 to 2020 like eras of music. They're all just kind of mushed together, at least in my head.
Yeah, I think like early 2000s was probably like some of the emo stuff and some of like the
That was my jam.
Taking Back Sunday
Yeah.
era.
I didn't get
right?
too
Yeah.
deep into it, but I
Like
like the
pop-
popular
the
stuff.
pop punk,
Yeah.
like the
Yeah. The Good Charlottes of the world, right?
right.
Blink-182 needs to be on this list somewhere. Like
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
came up strong. Every album I thought had hits and shits.
Yeah, for sure.
And then now it's just like, how many songs can 40-year-old dudes write about high school?
Yeah, right.
Right. Well, the two that Dude Ranch and the one with the chick with the glove.
Enema of the State.
Is that that one? Those were the two that I listened to the most. Anything outside of that, I didn't
Yeah,
really
I was a
care
big
for.
take off your pants and jacket,
Okay.
I'm sure you were.
or even that super emo one. I think it was just self-titled Blink-182. I like that one probably the best. But I was also 16, 18,
Right.
going
Yeah.
through it.
Yep. Yeah.
What do you got for us, Dave?
What do I got?
Podcast Dave.
Low Hanging Fruit. Two artists that tricked me into liking one of their songs.
Ooh.
I was listening to the radio and I heard this song and it's all like, my mama don't like you and she likes everyone. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool because my kid was younger and she liked the B100 or whatever.
Sure.
And I'm like, this isn't too bad. And I'm kind of jamming to it and she's like, that's Justin Bieber. And I'm like, God damn it.
Oh no!
Oh.
Yeah. But I re-listened to that song for this podcast. I'm like, it still holds up. Like for a Bieber song, it's not bad.
I mean, pop music is popular for a reason.
Yeah.
Right? Harry Styles tricked me into liking a song once. He was on, I think it was SNL. And I was like, I didn't know who he was. And I kind of turned on in the middle of it. Like, oh, this is kind of cool. And Harry Styles. I don't think I'm supposed to like this.
Right.
I think I'm a little. I think this is for teenage girls, right? Because he was like a boy band dude, wasn't he? Like he was one of the Direction.
One Direction.
Oh,
yeah.
I saw Bieber perform Saturday Night Live. Now I couldn't tell you anything about the song, but visually it was a cool video. Cool. He has a good stage performance from that one video I saw.
I mean, people are successful for a reason.
Yeah,
right?
when you put $1 million behind somebody,
exactly. If you have that kind of budget.
Yeah, I was just talking to somebody about like Taylor Swift. I think her parents are billionaires, and she just got a ton of money funneled into her, and now she's super popular. Yeah. So that's what I heard. I don't know that for sure.
That she's super popular, or that she was super rich before?
Both.
I think she is super popular. I mean, she is obviously super popular. And I was thinking about, when we were talking about things that we were, some topics for this podcast, right? Just bands or artists that are super popular that we don't really know about. No, scratch that. That's a terrible thing. Edit that out. But Taylor Swift is pretty fascinating, though. From country to country pop to pop star, and her fans are crazy. I mean, they're crazy about her. They're crazy for her.
Everything about her.
If your fans have nicknames, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, and and like kind of maybe in that same vein, that Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, that was the other one that tricked me with that Party in the USA.
Yeah,
I was working on the casino and it came on over the speakers, and I'm like, hey, this isn't too bad. And I was in the booth and someone walked in like, this is Miley Cyrus. I'm like, damn it.
Did it again. Like, shame.
Yeah.
You were
so dirty.
People were
I had
around
to go
you.
and whip myself. Like, Yeah,
I know.
People were around you to point out your failures in that one. You didn't like get to see it on the internet later.
But in my defense, if you look up the mashup Party in the USA and Biggie Smalls Party and Bullshit, it's a really good mashup.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a very interesting one.
What's the next category?
Next category.
I brought no categories. I'm just shooting from the hip.
Well, it kind of sounds like me and Dave come up with the categories and you kind of riff off it. I like that.
I'm the guest. Why do I have to do any work?
Right.
I was just driving by and you guys were like, hey, you want to come in and do a podcast?
Do a podcast? Get in here.
I got like for my next two, it's going to be kind of like a vice versa thing. But Three Bad Jacks is a band. I think they were on one of my favorite albums.
Oh, really?
And their albums are so good. Maybe one of them one of them's weaker than the other two, but I fucking killed the CDs. I listened to it so much I can't listen to it anymore. I finally got to saw them. They're from California. They're kind of a smaller band. They finally made their way over here. I was like, fuck yes. Went out to Clinton at Hook's Pub.
Oh, wow.
And
cool. So a band you want to see in a small room.
Oh, I was from here to you to them. And I was like, yes, fuck yes. And then they fucking blew goats on stage. They sucked each other's dicks. So the lead singer, Elvis, is his name.
Yeah.
And so he opens up with 3 Elvis songs, butchers them. Ooh. And then he plays some of my favorite songs, butchers them.
Yeah.
The drummer had a drum solo on an upside down stool, like he was just rattling the stick around in it. And I was like, this is the fucking worst show I've ever seen in my life. I still listen to the records all the time.
Were they trying? I mean, was that part of their shtick, you think? It's like, double middle finger to you. We're going to do whatever we want.
So,
like, if you want to hear these songs, maybe. You want to hear the drummer rattle a stick in a bar stool?
So
if it
was, they did it at one of the biggest car shows in the Midwest, Mississippi Mayhem. And my wife said she walked by as they were playing, and she was like, "Oh, the Three Bad Jacks are up here. They're about to come on." I think I was on the phone with her right before they came on, and then she texted me later and was like, "Those guys sucked.
Oh, wow,
they were terrible, terrible stage presence." You know what? I also was in Las Vegas, and we were at Big Car Show via Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. We went out of the show to go see Pat Jones, 3 on the Tree. Shout out to them.
Yeah.
If they ever come around, go check them out.
Yeah.
They're really fun in the Midwest area. I went out because I love Pat. He's one of my great friends, and they were closing for him. I saw Pat play. You know what? They fucking fucked up the bill, and they were like, hey, we're not playing after them. We're going to play before them. So I had to fucking sit through that shitty set again just to listen to my buddy. And I'm like, I got fucking 10 more minutes of this, Pat, or I got to leave.
Yeah.
And then they finally fucking shut up, and I got to see my friend play in Vegas. I traveled, fucking 2 hours by jet to go see my friend.
Yeah.
Well, he was just like one of the reasons, and I didn't even do that. We drove for 3 days to go to this show.
Woof.
And yeah, it was like that's how bad this band was live. Highly suggest the albums though.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to look them up because I think I want to see like YouTube videos of how bad the show is first.
Yeah, they did.
And then I want to be pleasantly surprised when Matt's right. This is pretty good.
Yeah.
They did a Beatles Blackbird cover, and it's just like from Elvis to the Beatles, and then your shit is heavy like Necromantics type stuff.
Yeah.
It was god awful.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is weird. It almost sounds like some punk bands are just notoriously shitty on stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're just shitty. They just want to be shitty.
Right.
It's F you. Right?
Yeah, they're
That's
like
stupid.
The setup's weak.
It's kind of punk though.
The shit's
right?
feedback. Yeah.
I know.
I don't know. It's like
Or they just crank everything
it's
up
like you.
loud.
It's like you
they
paint
can.
you paint a Mona Lisa, and then everybody wants to go see it in the museum. And you get there, and you're like, "Oh, this dude puked on it before he brought it to the museum."
Yeah, that's punk rock, man.
Yeah, I think that's punk rock.
I guess, man. I guess I'm not punk rock.
I would think you're probably more punk rock than Dave and I. I don't know.
I don't know.
Not if I like that. Not if I don't like that. I guess
True.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's true.
Because I have a Germs live album, and some of the songs are bearable, but the rest of them are just not good. They're feedbacky, and the guy's like yelling at the people in the crowd.
Yeah,
and they're notorious for
That's
just
punk
like
rock.
throwing, like having a food fight and shit, and like
Weird.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's crazy.
Did they
shit
play
like
their
that.
songs good?
Some of them.
Okay.
Some of them he's just kind of like whining and being like, "We're the Bengals. We're the Bengals."
That's funny.
So that was mine.
What was that category again? Terrible
band-
shows that you've seen.
Bands you can't wait to see suck.
Yeah, okay. Interesting.
I went to Northern Invasion in Wisconsin, and the first one was Black Veil Bride, which my kid wanted to see. She was in her emo phase, and I tried looking them up online, and they just were not for me. They were like screamo, like whiny, and not that good. And then when we saw him live, they actually put on a good show, and he wasn't as like whiny. It didn't seem, it was a little heavier, and I was like, that's pretty cool. Saw a guy like crowd surfing and get thrown onto a big slab of concrete and like cracked his head off the ground. It was great.
Damn.
But then later on, the last band was Tool, which I wanted to see. And then, of course, like, it's a huge venue. You're outside. There's thousands of people. You're standing on a slab of concrete. They're up there playing. I was with my kids, so I wasn't, like, having a drink or anything.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of a little underwhelming.
Tool was?
Yeah. Because they were technically good. They sounded good.
Had you seen them before?
I have not.
Okay, so that was your first experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just like...
Are they? Was it on the new record? Touring on this new?
It was like 4 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, they played some songs that I didn't quite know. They played songs I knew, but they're not like a moshing band or a band you can like dance to. So you're just kind of watching
It's
them.
prog rocky and it's long, and sometimes they'll go 10 to 15 minutes on one song.
Yeah, and even like Maynard was like, I want to be over here in the corner. I'm gonna let these two finish up, and they're just jamming, and he's just in the corner, like.
Yep. He stands in the back.
Yeah.
They've been doing that for a while. I was lucky enough to see Tool, and I was in college, so it was probably like 95.
Okay.
It's on the Anima tour.
Oh, that would have
and that
probably
was
been
the
a
like
good one.
Yeah, and then Maynard was still it's when he was painting himself half white and half blue.
Yeah.
He's just in a pair of shorts. And he's up in the crowd, and it's pretty moshy then, and it was good. And everything since then, I mean, they've gotten older,
Right.
and their songs have become more like they're more. I think Chicken Boy had a good quote once where like, man, these guys are trying to be like Pink Floyd instead of like Tool when we were listening to a record on the way to a gig. And he was right. And I think that was the 10,000 Days record. And that's kind of when but I just saw him at the, whatever we call the Mark now, the Tax Slayer.
Yeah.
I think it's the Mark now again.
It's the Mark sponsored by somebody.
Verizon or some shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it was good. It was a good show. But yeah, it's just a different show.
Wasn't Anima on the top 5 albums?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Check out that episode if you haven't already. It's the first episode of last year.
I'm sure I still have it on my notes here. While Dave's talking, I'm going to look at my notes.
Well, speaking of Tool,
that's
the favorite band of Justin X. Fuck.
That too.
Did you have something from him on there?
Oh yeah, his thing was, he says he likes everybody, but he's a big Disturbed fan.
Oh, okay.
I got a Disturbed story.
But he hates the whatever it's called. That's not that one.
I thought you wrote it down.
I did write it down. I was just on the wrong page.
Fiddling through papers.
Down with the Sickness.
Oh,
what? That's like their biggest song, right?
But he says he's not a fan because it reminds him of like some serious shit.
Well, you know what? That song is pretty serious towards the end. It's fucked up.
Yeah.
I guess I've never really listened to
I heard a radio edit. I just had it on. I was FM radio on in the car, and the radio edit's funny because they cut out all the
weird shit.
Yeah, at the end.
Had they always done that? I feel like they maybe haven't always done that.
Well, maybe I've only heard the radio edit.
But like when it first come out, it was back in the 2000s.
Yeah.
It was a different world.
It might have even been like the 90s.
Yeah, 90s, early 2000s.
So I saw my Disturbed story. This is a good. This fits into one of these categories. Perfect. I'm completely unprepared, and we're just right into it. So, it was a Slipknot show in the 90s in Cedar Rapids. Slipknot, Seven Dust, Cold Chamber, and Disturbed was the first band.
Yeah.
And I had never heard of Disturbed, right? And this would probably count as a band that kind of tricked me into liking them. And then I got the CD, and I was like, I don't like this. Like this is not what I want. This is not. It wasn't what they said. First of all, they were the first band of the night.
Okay.
So it's a little rougher kind of sounding, right? I thought that was pretty good. I'm going to have to check out that Disturbed band, And then I got it, and then it's like, oh, wow. And I'm like, I don't like this. I didn't hear any of that.
Right.
And the Stupefy song, so they kind of tricked me for a minute.
Yeah, and that's a band that I'm sad about because when they came out, they weren't that great. There were other bands better. Mm-hmm. But now in the 2000s, they're like one of the heavier bands that people are like, rock, this is metal. Like,
it was pretty radio friendly metal.
Yeah, it's like those Death Punch people. Like,
the five thing. Oh.
I don't really go for it. Right, this is metal. Like, I don't know.
It's 2 thumbs down from the Daves for 5 Finger.
Yeah.
Is it back onto me or is it you, Dave?
Dave just did the category of Disturbed.
A Disturbed category.
How about a band that you saw live that you didn't really get, and then you get the record, and you're like, oh, okay. So I got one of those. Funny, it's probably a good thing.
Mr. Categories over here.
Yeah. Well, it's probably a good thing that I brought it up. So. I saw the Mars Volta, and they opened up for somebody at the Mark of the Quad Cities. I think it might have been like a Perfect Circle or something. And again, they were the first band. And I don't know how familiar you guys are with the Mars Volta, but it's very it's kind of experimental rock stuff, right? With a Led Zeppelin sounding singer, right, on top of it. It's great. Did you ever listen to At the Drive-In? Remember At the Drive-In?
No.
Okay. Yeah, kind of here.
I know the name. I don't think I got into them.
Right.
I might have one of their CDs that I picked up at Goodwill or something.
Well, At the Drive-In split, and some of the dudes went on and formed a band called Sparta, which I love, and they almost made my top 5 records.
Oh.
And then the rest of them went on to form the Mars Volta. So Mars Volta is opening up, and again, the Mark. So many shows I've seen there, and you're just underwhelmed with the experience because it's just a big, loud, boomy arena.
Yeah, it's hard.
And
live shows are tricky like that.
Mars Volta was opening up, and I just could not make sense of what they were doing. It was just this, like, I kind of felt like they were just jamming, and the dude was doing Robert Plant vocals on top of it, and it was just like, I don't get it. And then a few years later, I don't even know how. I'd probably have written the band off. Like, I'm never going to listen to this. I'm here to see whatever band I'm here to see. And I picked up the CD, and somehow and I was like, oh my God, I love this.
You didn't like this band and you picked up the CD?
I don't know how it came into my possession, man. I don't know. Somebody may have told me to give it another shot.
You're in a fever
something.
dream.
Yeah, I didn't purchase it.
Oh,
it was given to me
okay.
or something. It probably was an Andrew music swap.
Oh, okay.
Or something like that. So
Edit that out.
yeah, edit that out, please. Yeah, but I loved it, and I still listen to it today. But did not get it live.
No.
Did not get it live at all.
Well, like you were saying, the Mark is different. Like, because I saw Slipknot in Ames, and that concert kicked ass.
Yeah.
And then I saw him at the Mark, and I don't know if they had a noise ordinance or something, but I could hear the guy next to me singing, and I'm like, normally that doesn't happen at
Yeah,
concerts.
right? Yeah, no kidding. Especially a Slipknot show.
Yeah, and like I was in the front, like the very front, and people just kept trying to like elbow.
Yeah.
And they have this one part where there's like, all right, everybody get down, and when I say jump the fuck up,
Spit it out. When they do spit it out, they make
Yeah.
everybody get it. Seems that it's a safety hazard.
but then nobody wanted to lose their spot, so nobody was getting down, and I'm like, man, the Mark sucks.
Yeah, when I saw that, the same show I saw Disturbed, the Slipknot show, in Cedar Rapids, they did, everybody get down on the ground. And everybody did. Everybody followed the instructions. And then everybody jumps up.
Yeah, and it just goes crazy.
Yeah. And I was in my 20s, and I would not do that now. I'm just gonna,
my knees.
I would be the only person in the middle of the floor just standing there, my arms folded. Like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I got to see Slipknot once with Korn, and the first band was like Murderville 666 or something. I don't know. They were terrible.
Yeah.
But Korn and Slipknot, not into their music really, live or on the album. But fuck, they put on a great show, man.
Oh, yeah.
They put on a killer show.
When I saw them then in Cedar Rapids, they were still touring on that first big record, the one with Spit It Out, Wait and Bleed. And they just played that record start to finish.
Pretty much, yeah.
It was like, okay.
I've never got to see a band do that, and I think that's such a great idea.
Well, so I like it when there's a lot of these bands now, right? 90s bands or something coming back around the tour, and they're like, hey, we're going to play our big record from, like Weezer, we're going to play the Blue record.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Primus fan. I saw Primus reunion where, like, half the time, first half of the tour they were doing Fizzle Fry, and then the second half of the tour they were doing Seas of Cheese, and it was awesome.
That's awesome. When I saw them, that was one that was like, they came out with an experimental album where it was based on a book, and they were doing that.
Yeah,
but then intermixing some of their
play the hits,
and so like during the stuff I didn't really know, I'm like,
I know
this is kind of slowing down.
Yeah, you can't fault a band for playing the new stuff, right?
Right.
And these bands,
and they got to write new stuff. You got to keep putting stuff out.
Yeah, you got to tour on a record.
Yeah, and Les Claypool is an amazing bassist and artist, and yeah, I'd go see him again.
And they've been at it. I mean, it's probably close to 40 years now.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a long time.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
That could also have been a venue thing, too. I mean, it was cool. It was at the Adler.
I saw that show just like a few years back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, at first, they weren't letting anybody go into the aisles and stand up and get close. But then eventually, we just kept ignoring them. They're like, no, we're going up front. Like,
that was a fun show. There was some of that new stuff. I can't remember what that record's even called that they're touring on, but it was just kind of there. It's filling the gaps in between, Now play My Name is Mud.
Yeah, and
they played
like the last
song.
half of the concert was great. Like,
are you familiar with Primus, Matt?
Yeah.
Good.
I like Mr. Crinkle.
Yes.
That's a good video.
It's a
too.
Great video.
That's a great video.
Probably why a 50-50 on the music and the video is why I like that.
My last Primus note here, one of my favorite things about them, especially back in the 90s, was, before they would come out, the crowd is just chanting Primus sucks. And you're just there yelling at your favorite band that you suck.
Yeah.
And he comes out, and Les comes out like, yeah, I know, we suck.
Right?
It's great. I love it. Primus
awesome.
sucks t-shirts. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Love it.
So on the flip side of that, there's a band Mothership. Davey.
I know Mothership, yeah.
Intimately. So they have... I got introduced to them by Johnny Dubb from Vintage Torque Fest and Iron Invasion. And he booked them for Vintage Torque Fest. And at the time, it was a lot of like... why are you booking this metal show for a hot rod event? It's like they don't have an upright bass. They don't dress like they're from the 50s. Yeah. You know, it was kind of a weird thing.
Very stoner metal.
Yeah, super stoner metal. Arguably maybe my first introduction to like good stoner metal.
Yeah.
But they came out, fucking ripped it apart, dude. The lead guitar player had like fucking these crazy tattoos of like monsters all up his chest and stuff, and he was like leaning back, and like it looked visually like a music video.
Are they brothers? Some of them are brothers.
The guitar players are brothers, guitar and bass, and then the drummer. I mean, he was just pretty tight.
Yeah, and they were a good band.
Yeah,
I remember them specifically because we had to cut our set short because it was running late, right? So that's back when I was playing with the After Darks, and I think the rule there at the fairgrounds, like, you know, music had to be done by like midnight.
Yeah, sound ordinance shit.
And there's like a hard, it's not 12:05,
right?
Midnight. So, and of course, bands run long throughout the whole day, right? So it gets behind. So, yeah, we cut a couple songs, but they were killer, right?
Yeah.
I remember getting off stage and then like grabbing a beer and like, it was not the band that you expected to see at a car show.
Yeah,
at Torquefest.
Yeah, so they played Vintage Torquefest, then Iron Invasion. It was in Woodstock.
Oh, he brought him back?
Yeah. Well,
the same year? Or
different show.
Okay.
Different show. So same year. Same year.
Calendar. So,
yeah.
So in the fall, he brings them back for Iron Invasion.
And that's in Woodstock, Illinois. Mm-hmm. And so their stage, Podcat.
Yeah.
Podcat sound guy over here.
Yeah.
So they have a stage where it's like for, you know, Miss Iowa pageants and like pig shows and shit like that. So they have like a catwalk.
Oh.
Well, they're fucking playing this show, and I was there all weekend doing balloon animals for kids, and I'm pumping up balloon animals, getting ready for one song that I love, Serpent's Throne, and I'm like taking these balloons, just straight balloons, look kind of like snakes, right? And I'm just throwing them all over the place, Serpent's Throne, and dude, fucking people are going crazy. The band's rocking out. They fucking break this stage in half.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think maybe a guy got hurt, but not too bad.
Yeah.
But Johnny Dub, everybody who knows him, when they break the stage, everyone looks at him.
Turns and looks at him.
And he's like wide-eyed, throws up the devil horns.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah!
Yeah.
And dude, it was fucking pandemonium. And so immediately, well, after the first time I saw them, I bought their album. Their fucking album is dog shit. Like, it's not the feeling. It's self-titled Mothership from 2013, and I never listened to it. I never listened to them outside of seeing them live.
Those live experiences.
And they put out an album Live Over Freak Valley in 2016, and dude, it captures it all. Like that is what they should have put out originally.
Well, you wonder if that first record was, you know, they're.
And I don't know anything about
back then, right?
I don't know anything about making records.
They've had to scrape together $2,000 so they could record a record, right?
Yeah, and I got a story about scraping together money for a record too.
I like that. Let's hear that.
Oh no,
is that the category?
No, let's go with bands you see live, and then maybe you're tricked by their album or something. I don't know.
So you see something? Okay, you go now, Dave.
Yeah.
Well, there's one that I've never seen live, but I caught a live thing on MTV where they were playing for like a award show or something, but it was White Zombie, and he was playing More Human Than Human.
Yeah, I remember that performance.
He was like running out like more human than human, and it's like just not the energy that's on the album. And I've heard people that have seen him like live, and they're like, yeah, no, he dances around, but then he gets out of breath for singing.
Yeah, he's old too. I remember that More Human Than Human performance because if I remember right too, they got off sync with the backing track.
Yeah,
there's that sound that starts the song off, and if I remember correctly, they got off, and the whole thing was just bad.
Yeah,
and they might even have been closing. It was like the VMAs or something,
right?
And they might have been like closing it.
They
was
like,
bad.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to go back and YouTube that because my memory, I remember that as just being bad because I loved the record before that, the one that had Thunder Kiss 65.
Yeah,
because that was that sound. I liked that raw sound, not that more electronic kind of.
Right.
That was another one, kind of going back to the Metallica stories, right? Like More Human Than Human. I just crossed my arms. I'm like, nope, not for me.
Nope.
I'm not. Nope. Dragula, all that.
Yeah.
Like, nope. Thunderkiss 65 all day over here.
Yeah. Well, in interviews,
I still have my arms folded. Just for the. Yeah, I know it's not a visual medium.
Yeah. But in interviews,
The people can hear it.
Yeah. I
Rob
hope
Zombie
so.
would even say that their band sucks. Like, because he's like, they were from New York, and he's like, everybody else got contracts, so eventually they're like, oh, hey, you can have a record contract too.
Yeah, sure.
And he's like, he was more into obviously directing the videos and making sure that he was the one putting them together and everything. But he pretty much says that, like, yeah, they're not the best band, but
Yeah, I thought that was it Le Sexorcisto, I think, is the record before that. That has that has Thunderkiss 65 on it.
Right.
That it's just a raw sounding record.
Right.
It's everything after that. That's right in the category of like load and reload for me. Like, get out of here.
right. Yeah.
Grumpy old man.
Yeah. Living Dead Girl. Like,
Yeah, get out of here with that too.
right.
A good one for sure.
Yep. I got nothing. I just you know what? I like this format better, where you guys say something and I just comment on it.
Yeah. Do the color commentary.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Let's go to Dave. Get his thoughts on Dave's
Right.
comments.
All right, let's get your thoughts on this one. Speaking about
what did I just say?
speaking about scraping together a couple of bucks for an album.
Yeah.
I don't know why I put this on here, but it's really fitting. Behold the Broken, Dichotomia. You can find it on YouTube. But so that
Is the whole record out there?
Yeah, the whole record's up there.
Yeah, cool.
And it's good. I love it.
Yeah.
So Behold the Broken is essentially 30 or 60% of the After Darks, which is one of my favorite bands. Dave was in it for a while.
And they're back together and they're doing it again, and they sounded great.
They did sound good.
Sounded great when they just played.
But Behold the Broken, so the After Darks was my favorite band growing up. Local band. I didn't know any of the guys for the longest time, and then I started to get to know them a little bit, and then they stopped playing. Their guitar player left, and me and Joe After Dark and Tony were jamming, doing a couple of things every once in a while, and I was hanging out with them every once in a while, and then I was just like, hey Joe, when are you going to put together more music? And he was like, oh, we're working on something right now. And I was like, let me know, I'll help you with an album. And so I'm like buying stuff from him, I'm throwing him cash,
Sure.
and he's like practicing and
Matt
stuff.
Nicky funded.
Yeah. I don't have a producer like thing on it, and I was supposed to go down and help him record and stuff and maybe
Yeah.
do backup vocals. I don't know.
Didn't they play in this basement?
They played in this
Lounge, right?
basement.
Yeah.
Their one and only show is in this
I
basement.
was at that party, but I don't think I had to work or something. Something stupid got in the way and I couldn't make it. Or maybe I had my own gig or something. But I remember, I think Scotty and I showed up for that, but we missed the gig. So I never got to see him live.
Yeah, you never will.
I know.
But it was a good time. It was fucking great. And I highly recommend you go fucking listen to that music if you like rock and roll.
Joe's creative.
He's
Joe is
smart.
Joe is a guy that can just crank
talented.
out songs.
Yeah,
man.
for sure.
That guy is full of songs.
It comes at a price, though.
Yeah.
You know, everything does.
Yeah.
So you have
I
any...
didn't know if you were making a joke there. It comes at a price, like, because you had to fund the record. You have a very specific price, or
Yeah. So have you ever been on an album, Dave?
Have I played on an album?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. One Night Standards have the
Chicken Boy's not on an album.
Chicken Boy is not on an album. That is correct.
Because I think we were talking about it last time.
Correct.
'cause
Yeah.
we but you don't play on our intro.
Correct. So that's Mike Mudd. He was the drummer on that record. I played on the next record.
Which one was that? Sunset. Okay.
Yep. And
Ours is from Octane.
Yes. And I actually joined the band, I think, right after.
And you're on a couple of YouTube videos. You're on at least a YouTube video of PBR, I think, maybe.
Yep.
And
that's a cover. Right?
Yes.
So that's a cover.
And there's a funny story with that song, isn't there?
And that's, we might have to call Scott and let him just tell us that story, right?
All right.
Did we might have even told it on that last podcast.
No, I think Scott told
it involves a Nick
told me
Coran
later.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So I played on Sunset. I've done, and then a few other bands I was in. We were lucky enough. I was in a band called The Last Glimpse. We were lucky enough to have our own. You were
lucky to get any gigs.
What's that?
You were lucky to get any gigs.
Oh, we had good gigs, man. I got to open up for Bush and Helmet in that band in Redacted District. That was super cool. Yeah, that's easily the coolest gig, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we got like 4 minutes. You're like, get up there and play 4 songs, but you only get 37 seconds to do each one. All right. Because actually, Helmet, one of my favorite bands, their sound check, they went so long, right? They just kept sound. They had to get it right. And
was that like a situation where they're like, we have to have a local band play before these guys?
They always, I think Rock the District usually had some sort of local open up, right? And I think we had 25 minutes, half hour, I don't remember, but it was super awesome.
Did you win the spot or no?
No.
Because I know you won Battle of the Bands a couple times.
We did. That was we did that once. Yeah, Battle of the Bands is a weird thing, right? Why are we doing contests for art, right?
Right. Yeah.
But we were happy to win it, and it was like, again, it's it was judged. I don't know, but yeah, that's like 10, 11 years ago. But yeah, so we did some EPs. I guess getting back to your original question, have I been on some albums? Yes, Matt, I have.
Oh, cool.
Yes, yeah. And I love the recording process.
Yeah.
It's super fun. And it's more attainable now for musicians because this stuff it's cheaper.
I have it all in my basement.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, and it's amazing what you can do with just a couple microphones.
And this podcast is low budget.
Yeah.
Well,
So
there's a couple bands. Well, I don't know if you call them bands, but that is just pretty much.
I don't know if you call them bands.
Well, because it's like a person in a bedroom with like Pro Tools or something.
Well, that's how Tool records all their stuff, right? They record everything separately.
they do record it separately, not in their bedrooms though. I'm sure it's
right.
going to have like
the guy probably owns a recording studio.
I think if what I remember from them, I think they kind of toss the tracks back and forth, and so there's a bunch of other bands that do things that way as well. Now you can I had some friends that there's guys out there that will, like drummers out there that you give them $200 and they'll play drums on your song.
Yeah.
You just email them your tracks.
Dave's a little cheaper than that, but
yeah. Well, first of all, I don't have the recording equipment. So actually, what would happen if you want me to record drums for your song? I'm going to come to your house, or we're going to a studio, right?
Yeah.
You can email me some tracks, and I don't know what to do with this. I'm going to junk mail.
Yeah.
What was that category? Records Dave played on.
Looking at you, podcast Dave.
You're looking at me. Well, I had one where it was like a super popular band that then had an album that almost killed their career.
Ooh.
Or is Motley Crue.
Yeah.
Super big. They pretty much owned the 80s.
Yeah.
They were that movie The Dirt? Was that Motley Crue?
The Netflix movie?
Yeah.
The story about Motley Crue? That
Okay.
one? Yeah.
Because, they're big personalities, which is why they're still kind of famous now. Mm-hmm. But, and I guess their concerts kind of suck now, too, because they're old men.
Oh, there's some good clips out there of Vince Neil a few years back just getting words wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not hitting those notes like
just,
he could.
Well, yeah, he looked, fat and out of shape.
Yeah.
And not ready to do, like, Kickstart My Heart like he used to.
Yeah. But, they pretty much dominated the 80s for metal, like hairband kind of stuff. And then the grunge scene kicked in. Mm-hmm. And they actually broke up or got rid of Vince Neil and got a new
that's right.
Singer for a minute. But then they didn't quite sell as much. So then they got Vince Neil back and they put out Generation Swine.
Which is like, this is like mid-90s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
they were trying to experiment with the grunge kind of sound, and most of the songs they wrote were actually for the new guy, but then they got Vince back in it.
So he's going to sing the other dude's songs.
Yeah, and it was just horrible. There was one song where they actually let Tommy Lee play piano and sing a song to like Pamela Anderson.
Yeah, just like Kiss did with Beth.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
It was just pretty much a rip off of that. Yeah, and it just sucked. And I think they were just after that they were like, well, we're kind of done. They did put out a new couple singles that weren't too bad, but after that they just kind of like, wow, that sucked. Nobody wants to hear your new stuff. Just stick with the old stuff.
It's such an interesting time there, the hairband meets grunge era.
Yeah.
Right? Because I was listening to, I wasn't a huge Motley Crue fan, but I had some Cinderella. I liked Skid Row back then, And then I got Nirvana's Nevermind.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, I don't care about any of this stuff anymore, you know?
Right.
Do you remember that era, Matt? No, you were probably
Yeah.
Fun fact, my first CD, Dr. Feelgood.
Yeah.
When I got a CD player, my first CD.
Oh, okay.
Melody Cruz, Dr. Feelgood. So
That's a good
there
one.
you go. There's your little Dave Hughes factoid.
The one in the podcast, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, right. Well, that's the important one.
I got another one. This is the last one on my list, but bands that I only listen to like the most popular songs, and I don't know why. Going back to ballads, I think.
Yeah.
Meatloaf.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I fucking destroy Paradise by the Dashboard
Well, all the
Lights.
songs are ballads.
Dead
aren't
Ringer
they?
for Love. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I fucking love anything he puts out with a music video. I just have no desire to go listen to any of his other music. It could all be great. It could all suck. I have no idea.
You just like...
Just those ones. I have them on repeat. I have a playlist of just like 4 Meatloaf songs that sometimes I'll rip over and over again.
And it's like the old one. It's not like the... What was the big one in the 90s? Or it was,
Anything for Love?
Yeah, but
Anything for Love I do listen
is that
to.
on your playlist?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Bad Out of Hell I'll listen to.
Right. Bad Out of Hell, I think... I will always associate Meatloaf with... My mom liked it, right? My
Yeah.
mom doesn't listen to music.
Well,
And
and-
my mom liked Meatball. She always called him Meatball. Like, you know, and I was like, Mom, it's Meatloaf.
And like
It's
that
so lame, Mom.
Mom, Meatloaf.
Yeah, Mom.
that album cover, Bad Out of Hell, looks fucking metal as fuck.
It does, yeah.
And then you listen to it and you're like, whoa.
That could be one of those that tricks you,
Yeah.
right? That was. I remember being younger and like we'd want a new record, and so we just go to the store and like buy an album based on the cover.
That was hard.
Yeah.
That
And
that
so
was
we
a
were
thing.
looking for metal stuff, you know, and you could easily have got tricked into
Yeah.
buying Bad Out of Hell.
I actually like Bad Out of Hell 2 a little bit better.
I didn't
That's
listen
the
to
one
it.
with Everything for Love. And
Okay,
all
it's
that.
called Bad. Okay,
Bad Out of Hell 2.
I didn't know it was Bad Out of Hell too. Yeah,
Original.
yeah.
Yeah. But I think that one was a little more produced, so it sounds a little cleaner. Where
Yeah.
Bad Out of Hell was not as much.
Was Bad Out of Hell like 70s, 80s? I mean,
maybe.
Yeah, I'd say so.
yeah. Is it cool to ask a question in the middle of the podcast and just never get the answer?
Yeah, I mean we could
Hey, somebody
we could
email
Google
Matt
it.
and
But
Dave about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let us
put it in
know.
the comments.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
We have the world at our fingertips. We just decide not to use it.
Yeah.
Are there any bands that you might have not liked, but you changed your mind about?
Meatloaf's probably one of those for me.
Yeah.
Like, because when I was growing up, I was like, man, this sucks. But then after I went through, like, you know, a couple of girlfriends and love and stuff like that and had feelings,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is all right.
It definitely as I've gotten older, right? I'm
Yeah.
not as judgmental, right?
Right,
I'll let some stuff in that I may not have let in before.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I could appreciate a good Meatloaf song now.
Yeah.
Because it's theatrical. And it is
Right.
it's kind of comical.
It's like rock opera.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. It's over the top too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he has like 6 million people in that band, right? Like, if you watch Paradise by the Dashboard Lights, there's like a lot of people on that
Yeah.
stage.
Well, I mean, it takes a lot to be Meatloaf, right?
Yeah.
He can't do that. He can't do that all by himself, man. He needs a small army.
Right.
It's a small army.
It needs a whole loaf.
Yeah. The whole. Yeah.
The whole loaf.
Yeah.
Well, I had one, Incubus, where, like, Morning View and Make Yourself and Science and Fungus Among Us, I really enjoyed. But then they did a song for a movie called Stealth with Jamie.
Put it down in the podcast.
Yeah. Leave it in the comments.
The guy who. Shit, what's his name?
Somebody's screaming this at the radio right
Yeah.
now.
You
Yeah.
idiot! It's a great movie.
No, it actually, I think it bombed.
Oh.
But they did a song for it, and their video was like them standing out in the desert. And when I first saw it, I'm like, oh man, these guys are sellouts now. This song does not sound like them. They're trying to be more mainstream and yada, yada, yada.
Was it
So
Megalomaniac? What was the song? Do you remember?
it was like,
Oh, again.
it was called Make a Move.
Oh, I don't remember that one.
Yeah, and Jamie Foxx was the lead actor in that movie.
Jamie Foxx.
But I just remember hating it, and then so I kind of wrote them off, like, oh, they're sellouts now. And then they came out with light grenades, and my friend Dave, another Dave, like burned me a copy of it. And I remember like putting it in and like brushing my teeth and shaving and just being like, all right, this sucks. I don't like this. But for this podcast, I'm like, I want to go back and see how much it sucks. And I'm like, actually, this isn't bad. It sounds like funky and Incubus and how it should be, but I just had in my mind that they were sellouts and they sucked. But then revisiting, seeing it without those kind of like young punk kind of ideals, I'm like, okay, well, no, they're not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah,
Incubus was a band that I got tired of the hits, right?
Yeah,
because it was like there's a few of those songs that was just they were everywhere.
Yeah, and that's something to be said for
everywhere.
Yeah.
And so I saw Incubus open up for Primus,
right?
And they played a bunch of songs from Science.
Yeah,
and I had never gone back and listened to Science.
Okay,
so they were great. They're a phenomenal band live because they're a good band, right?
And they're kind of jammy and like funky.
But Science was kind of heavy.
Yeah,
right?
it was.
Right. So that'd be a band that I think I kind of wrote off, right? You hear a few of the hits, right? Blink-182 is another one of them where you just get like the songs that get shoved down your throat.
Yeah,
they're
like
everywhere.
all the small things and What's My Age Again are good songs.
Absolutely.
But
absolutely.
Yeah,
But,
and do you have to hear them over and over again?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Incubus live was great.
Yeah,
I think I just only saw them the one time, and I think that's good enough.
Yeah,
you know,
that's probably all you need.
Yeah.
Well, like songs that get shoved down your throat. I don't think I will ever buy an AC/DC record.
Oh, there's no need. You've heard them all.
Yeah, and they're all over the radio.
Yeah.
Or like Guns N' Roses, the one album.
Okay. Let's start the Guns N' Roses segment of the podcast.
Right.
Next year we got to get Scott down here and we're doing the Beatles argument.
Oh man, that's on my list.
Yeah. Everybody should own a copy of Appetite for Destruction.
Yeah.
I mean, that should be Joe Biden should somehow pass a law, executive order, whatever. It's like everybody mandatory Appetite for Destruction.
Yeah,
phenomenal record. Now,
a stimulus check, you're getting Appetite for Destruction.
Oh, what a great stimulus that would be! I mean, like seriously. So now, then the Use Your Illusions, right? The Use Your Illusions 1 and 2. Not bad. Speaking of ballads, November Rain, I could probably go the rest of my life without ever hearing November Rain again.
Yeah,
everywhere.
Sure. Cry.
Yeah.
Or Don't Cry or whatever it is.
Exactly. How bands, the self-involved, the ego to do a double record, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, people want to hear 30 of our songs, you know? Like, we could make one really good record.
Yeah.
No, we're going to play every song we have. Podcat.
I guess.
Yeah, howling up there.
Yeah. Big fan of Appetite for Destruction. Yeah.
Well, True Lies wasn't bad. And that was before Appetite for Destruction. Lies. Okay.
Which is like, I think technically an EP, right? It's only like 6 or 7 songs on it. Yeah, but that was the sophomore slump, right? So we're talking about records that maybe killed a band's career.
Yeah.
How about having to follow, right? How about you put out Appetite for Destruction, and now you got to come back with something bigger and better.
Yeah.
And Guns N' Roses does Lies, and it's essentially 6 songs. And the big hit on that was an acoustic song, Patience.
Patience, yeah.
Which is a good song.
Was that also Knocking on Heaven's Doors from that one?
No, that's on Use Your Illusions.
Oh, it is?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's not the loud one.
No?
They're all over the place.
There's other podcasts?
Yeah.
Several.
But
Guns N' Roses, they also waited like a decade or whatever before Chinese Democracy
I think it was
out.
even longer than that because, I mean, it was 15 to 20 years.
Okay.
Because Use Your Illusions are, again, everything revolves around when I was in high school. That's a high school record.
Right. Well, what was Spaghetti Incident was the one after
was that in between?
Yeah,
that was before Chinese Democracy was the record that actually
so they had other records.
Yeah.
Well, after the Use Your Illusions, they kind of I don't remember. I don't have my Guns N' Roses timeline because only thing that matters is Appetite for Destruction.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but after Use Your Illusion was the Spaghetti Incident.
Yeah,
and everybody was kind of not happy with that one, but there are like 1 or 2 songs on there that aren't bad.
Also, the hair band versus grunge era, right? So Guns N' Roses is still trying to be Guns N' Roses while, the 90s are happening.
Yeah, and I think they came out with the third song from their trilogy, their Don't Cry, November Rain, and then the last one that I was
Strange? Was it a Strange?
something. I always forget that one.
It's a ballad too, right?
Yeah, but that one wasn't bad.
No, it wasn't bad.
And-
I like the Use Your Illusions. Again, I could turn it into one good record.
Yeah.
2 different versions of Don't Cry on there too. Yeah, come on.
Right.
Like the same song with alternate lyrics. Like, yeah, it's just
Yeah, well, some bands do that. Like, I know Sublime, their self-titled album, they have that What I Got, and then at the end, they play it again. It's like,
yeah.
I don't know why you got to put it on there twice.
How about a category? Bands that are really popular that I can't stand.
Sublime.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Again, shoved down my throat. I bet if I would go back and listen to it, I might enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know, but just at that time, like, I swear to God, every party I went to, somebody was throwing in that Sublime disc at some point.
Yeah.
Come on. In high school, every party I went to, somebody was playing Alice in Chains' Dirt.
Yeah.
Which is a good record. I didn't need to hear it anymore. They were playing that. And
Alice in
Cypress Hill.
Chains is a band that
Yeah.
I can never remember what songs are Alice in Chains. So I ask my wife like every couple of months.
Yeah.
What does Alice in Chains play?
Anything Rooster related.
Yeah. Man in the Box.
Yeah. Yeah, Rooster or Box related.
Yeah.
All the hits.
But, Jar of Flies.
It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. And the Unplugged record,
Yeah.
good. Yeah, Jar of
then
Flies is really good.
The one with the three-legged dog was iffy.
Yeah, is that it was like blue or yeah.
Yeah. Because, what was that one? Heaven Above Us or Hell Below?
Heaven Besides You.
Or, yeah. That was an interesting
That's an
one.
Alice in Chains song.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we're still
Okay.
Talking about Alice in Chains.
yeah.
It falls right out of my head.
So when you were younger and you'd go to hang out with your friends, what record was playing all the time? And you're just like, can we stop playing this record?
License to Ill?
Yeah. Oh, and Beastie Boys in general. And that's another one for me. As I've gone back in my later years,
Yeah.
learned to appreciate I always liked the Beastie Boys. I just didn't want to hear it all the time.
Right.
I didn't want to hear it all the time.
And they're also one of those where it's like they have a couple albums, but you only know one song from them.
Yeah,
so maybe
sure.
you didn't pay attention to the rest of the album.
Yeah. Like the deep cuts are probably good, right?
Yeah, they're pretty good.
I was always the guy that ruined music for everybody.
Yeah.
But
How so?
but Dropkick Murphys was well, and when I came along and got into them, they already had like 5 great albums.
Was that before The Departed came out? The movie The Departed? Because I
never-
think that's...
Never even seen it.
Oh, my
It could have been before or after. I don't know.
unbelievable.
Yeah, right.
Can we do an episode of... Can I come over and do an episode about movies? I've never
We
seen
can do
The
that.
Departed.
Do you know?
All right, let's pause the podcast real quick. We're going to go watch a 3-hour movie.
Right.
Do you know Jason from Death Stitch? Jason.
I know who that dude is.
Okay.
Yes. I don't know him personally. Like,
He's our movie guy. But if you want to
Okay.
do movies, we could do one.
well, I don't know if I'm a good... The only reason I bring up The Departed, which is a phenomenal movie, by the way, also, it's kind of what I think brought Shipping Up to Boston.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
kind of brought that to people that had no idea who Dropkick Murphy
Yeah.
were.
Right.
So
I even
that-
heard that on The Simpsons one time. There's an episode of
Well,
The Simpsons.
they mocked The Departed. There's an episode where they mocked The
Oh,
Departed.
Okay. So it had to be because by the time I was listening to him, that song was out for sure.
Yeah, that was like Departed is like what 2006, 8, something.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably about when I got. Well, I probably got into him just a little bit before that.
So before The Departed,
yeah.
It's an important as a Dropkick Murphys fan. It's important.
I'll
that
watch
you-
it.
That you no. It's important that you tell people no. Before The Departed.
Oh,
Before The
okay.
Departed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
Gangs All Here, like all that.
Gangs All Here was great. Now I'm not going to be able to think of them.
I have a couple of them. But I couldn't tell you what the names of them. But
Yeah.
Live in Boston, that's a great album from
Yeah.
Dropkick Murphys.
You know what? The only live album I like is this fucking one from Mothership. I'm not a huge fan of hearing the audience and the kind of bad sound quality.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of that.
Yeah, and it was especially those live records, 70s, 80s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the ones where they put the microphone in the middle of the crowd.
Yeah, right.
So you hear like glasses tinkling. And
Yeah,
you're like,
right,
oh, these guys
exactly.
suck live. Like,
Even like some live like comedian like recordings.
Yeah.
I'm like, you should have just like recorded this at home or something.
Yeah.
But maybe the laughing is part of it.
yeah,
Well, people got to know when to laugh. It's just like the laugh tracks, and, you know, Seinfeld or something.
Yeah. Something that got me that I never understood until I met my wife was how much of a Prince fan I am. Because he wrote, like, everyone's music for, like, 5 years.
Yeah. Another guy that just... I mean, there's vaults, right, full of Prince songs that we'll never see. Kevin Smith told a great story.
For sure.
Yeah, just was he? I can't remember. Was he doing a video or something?
He was hired. He was hired by Prince to do a documentary, and then Prince like phoned it in, and then at the end he was like, "Nah."
And then I think somebody, how I remember the story, somebody from Prince's crew is like, nobody's ever going to see this.
Yeah,
like, it's just it's going in the pile.
And it was like there was a Q&A in Prince's house, which my wife had been to, and she said it was amazing. I think she said it was better than
Paisley Park.
Yeah. I think she said it was better. She thought it was better than Elvis's joint.
Grace City's not very big.
No, but honestly,
Elvis, build a bigger house. Come on,
you're not
the
wrong.
King of rock and roll, man.
You're not wrong.
What was that, a 4-bedroom, like 2,000 square foot house? Get out of here, Elvis.
But honestly, when I went to Graceland, I was like, this is how I would live if I was rich. Like the way everything looked. But anyways, there in that Kevin Smith documentary, there was a part where he was doing a Q&A, and then one of Prince's guys was like, hey, come here. Prince wants to talk to you. And he goes up, and he was like, Prince was listening to him like through a secret intercom system and camera system, and he was like,
so
why'd you ask that?
Yeah. So weird. Prince was weird.
Yeah. Well, and so I grew up on Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. I lived my fucking life by that movie. And come to find out that Jungle Love, performed by Morris Day and the Time, written by Prince, my mind was blown.
Yeah, well, that was a band that Prince created just for the movie Purple Rain.
Yes.
Guitar player from Rock Island.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Morris Day and the Time, yep. Yeah, Google it. Do it. Google it right now.
Put it in the podcast comments.
Yeah. And is Dave wrong?
That's the name of the podcast.
Yeah. Is the guest wrong? Most of the time, yes.
But another band that gets beaten to your head that I don't really care for too much, Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah,
I can understand that.
Red Hot Chili Peppers is tough. Dudes have been doing it for a long time. Yeah, they have a very kind of a one-trick pony. Right?
Yeah.
I love Blood Sugar Sex Magic.
Yeah,
is one of my favorite records.
That's a good one.
When that one hit, when I got a hold of that, Chad Smith, one of my favorite drummers. I could do without everything after it.
Well, what was that other one? Mother's Milk?
Yeah, before that.
Yeah,
before that.
I mean, those two were decent.
Yeah, they're good stuff. Yeah, but Blood Sugar, I think, is like their pinnacle. Mm-hmm. And then after that, they've just been recreating recreating the same sound, the same song.
Except
people love them still.
Yeah, but One Hot Minute, I'm surprised that didn't kind of sink them.
Yeah, the Dave Navarro record.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Because I think there's only one, that Friends song.
Yeah.
That's like the only one that I really care about, because that Aeroplane song, which was their single, was
that one got played a ton.
Yeah, and it wasn't even good.
No. I had a friend tell me to go back and listen to that record again, and I gave it another shot years later, because my little brother, he loved that record. Yeah. Where I was like the one before it. Yeah. And I had my arms crossed just like I do right now. And I'm like, no, I'm not. No, Dave, you're not doing Dave Navarro. That's Jane's Addiction. What are we doing? Why are we doing Jane's Addiction and Red Hot Chili Peppers together? What is this?
It was like just
what kind of world are we living in?
A big name, and he was dating Carmen Electra. So they're like, let's get that guy. He's hip.
But he's a phenomenal guitar player. Yeah. And he's cool, and that was a weird record.
Yeah. Yeah, the only Red Hot Chili Peppers song I ever cared about was the one in Beavis and Butthead Do America, which I think was a cover.
The disco cover? Yeah. The roller coaster?
Yeah. That's the only one I liked. And every once in a while I'll go back to that video.
Soul to Squeeze is probably the one I like the most from the Coneheads.
Yeah, see, soundtrack. I was racking my brain, but that was a soundtrack. That wasn't even on a record.
Yeah, and I've told that to people, and they're like, no, it was on a record. I'm like, no, it was just a soundtrack song.
I always felt like sometimes those soundtrack songs were songs that are kind of like, this isn't going to make a record. Yeah. We got this song. Somebody calls like, hey, you want to be on a soundtrack? Yeah, we got a song. Here you go.
Yeah. Megadeth has one of those for the Last Action Hero soundtrack.
Oh, right.
I know it's good, but it's one of those where it's like not on any other record. Unless
that's a good category too, like soundtracks.
Angry Angry Alone or Angry Again
That's
or something.
the Megadeth song?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it finally came out on a Megadeth one, but it was like hidden gems, like B-sides
Yeah.
and like stuff they did on
Yeah.
soundtracks.
Yeah. What's some of your favorite soundtracks?
The Crow.
Yes, The Crow, phenomenal.
Yes.
Pantera song on there that wasn't on any record.
Yeah.
The Badge. Actually, that Nine Inch Nails song wasn't on. I don't know if that Cure song was on any record.
Right, yeah.
The Crow let me opened me up to For Love Not Lisa. Do you remember that band on there? I think the song was called Slip Slide.
I was always a big fan of the Bodyguard soundtrack.
Yeah, absolutely. Kevin Costner and Whitney Houston.
Whitney Houston covering that Dolly Parton song.
Yeah.
Singles was a great
was a good
soundtrack. 90s song. And a bunch of songs on there, like a couple Pearl Jam songs that never made a records.
Yeah.
Smashing Pumpkins song that never made a record, I believe. So
Okay.
those two, Singles and The Crow, were two of my favorites.
The Demon Knight soundtrack wasn't bad
I
either.
don't remember that one.
It had Cemetery Gates on it. It had Hey Man, Nice Shot.
Oh,
Then a couple other ones I can't think of off the top of my head, but very heavy, very like the early 90s kind of music.
Dave and I are like in the same wheelhouse.
Yeah.
You know?
The only soundtracks I ever listened to are like from musicals.
Okay, so like Les Mis, or
Oklahoma.
like what, like
Grease. I pop in Grease every once in a while.
Nice.
Or Crybaby was good. I don't think I have a quote unquote soundtrack, but all the music on there was good as fuck.
Judgment Night soundtrack. That's the last soundtrack I'm going to bring up. Judgment Night was the one where there was like all the hip hop bands and the metal bands.
Okay.
So you had like a Pearl Jam and Cypress Hill song.
All right.
You had a Faith No More and Booyah Tribe. You had Helmet and House of Pain.
All right. There was
Dinosaur Jr. and somebody else. There's some really, it's just some weird pairings.
There was another one like that. There was like the Chemical Brothers and then some metal band.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
How
I
about
just can't remember what soundtrack that was.
How about covers? Like I was always a big fan of that Johnny Cash cover album. And then, so I always liked Rusty Cage, and then I heard the fucking Radiohead version. Is it Radiohead?
Soundgarden.
Yeah.
Negative two podcast points.
Oh, here we go.
Right.
And honestly, I just had this conversation with my wife. I just listened to this song too, but I always liked that. She always hated "Hurt."
The Nine Inch Nails song?
Well, she always hated Johnny Cash's cover.
Because she was a Nine Inch Nails fan?
Yes.
Yeah.
And she was like, he changed the lyrics. And I was like, he fucking redid the song.
Yeah.
But Rusty Cage, I always liked the Johnny Cash one. And then I heard the Soundgarden one. Thanks for telling me that because I already forgot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I fucking love this song way better.
I despise the Johnny Cash version because
Is it Soundgarden or is it Temple of the Dog?
No. Temple of the Dog was a super group of Pearl Jam and Soundgarden members.
Oh, okay.
So no, it's definitely Rusty Cage is the first song on Bad Motorfinger.
Okay.
It's a phenomenal record.
What's a good Temple of the Dog song?
Hunger Strike was the one that was like their big single.
That was the only argument I ever won musically with my wife. Is at one point she didn't think Temple of the Dog. I think she thought it was an album or just a song or something.
It wasn't a band.
Yeah, but I won that one.
Yeah,
and it was when I was getting into that Rusty Cage song, so it was fresh in my brain.
Gotcha. Yeah, Temple of the Dog wasn't bad. I think they just did the one record.
Yeah. Jolene by Miley Cyrus is actually a pretty good cover.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the one that also...
Jolene, the original, is fantastic.
It is fantastic. But that's also one that tricked me that when I heard it, and then it's like, okay, well, I guess Miley Cyrus does have some talent. Like, she's a good singer.
Also, queen of covers is that fucking... Who's that bad romance girl?
Oh, Lady Gaga?
Lady Gaga. She does a fucking Elton John cover, and I think she does a Metallica cover that's pretty good.
I think Miley did like a whole. She was doing like I used to listen to Howard Stern a lot, and she would go on there and she was doing a whole like round of covers. She was just covering songs, and it was pretty cool. One cover I used to love, and this is a Dave Hughes Scott Howe argument that happens a lot. I love the Faith No More version of the song "War Pigs" by Black Sabbath. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
Right. And generally he's like, no. I mean, it's Black Sabbath. Like, Black Sabbath does Black Sabbath better than anybody else, right?
Is that a big Scott Howe thing? Is the original does the original better?
Probably, but especially with this one. And he's not wrong in the sense that yes, Black Sabbath wrote the song. It's got a cool groove. I just love the Faith No More performance of it, how it sounds. I was always a huge Faith No More fan, right? So that was one of those cover-wise, like I kind of like the cover better than the original.
I like covers when they change styles.
Yeah,
you don't cover a band that's like right next door to you, you know?
Yeah. Well, there was
unless it's live. That's maybe a little different.
One of those like growl bands. I don't know, it was like 6 Feet Deep or something. I can't remember the name, but they did a whole album of covers.
Oh, okay.
But they did it in like like kind of style,
yeah.
And they had a couple good ones.
The cover I can't stand is it that Five Finger Death Punch that does Holy Diver?
They do Holy Diver too.
Somebody does Holy Diver and it fucking sucks.
Somebody does like the Bad Company song too.
Yeah, I think that's the
Oh, okay. I might be thinking of somebody else, but I hate that
awful.
song.
Oh, and they did the zombie song, like redid that one.
The Cranberries?
The Cranberries.
Okay.
Five Finger Death Punch
I think so.
I fucking never liked that Cranberries song.
If there's a member of Five Finger Death Punch listening to this podcast right now, you go fuck yourself. How about
Dude,
that?
that's one of our 10 listeners.
I know.
Come on.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but like,
Well, and
it's
that's
a crime. It's a crime. What Five Finger Death Punch does is a crime.
Right, and I
I
feel
wish
like
Joe Biden would pass some sort of law that we could just
ban them.
Yeah, we could just take care of this problem. That it's a scourge of the country.
I know, because I feel like Five Finger Death Punch did a couple covers. So Disturbed's like, oh, we have to do Sound of Silence, and it's like, how is a metal band going to do Simon and Garfunkel?
Ooh-wah!
Yeah, especially when Simon and Garfunkel is like 2-part harmony, and you just have one guy like in there trying to
Do both.
exactly.
And it's the Disturbed singer.
Yeah, it's the Disturbed
He doesn't
singer.
have a bad voice. He's just kind of a weirdo. And he's got that weird chin hair thing. He's kind of a weirdo.
That was the one thing I didn't like about System of a Down. That guy with the... I've never liked the big long goatee. Don't tell Chicken Boy I said that.
Yeah, we'll edit that out. Chicken Boy makes it cool.
Yeah. I miss that guy.
I do too.
I hope he listens
Let's
to
call
this.
him right now.
Where are you at, bastard?
Oh, Dave, you got a couple more inputs from some past guests.
Mariana Paul said,
I prefer Paul Trench, but...
Paul Trench, okay. But the band Mountain,
Oh, Mississippi Queen.
yes.
Yeah.
And their
Okay.
album Climbing, the first song, first song, Mississippi Queen, and then the rest of the album is just garbage.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know if I know another mountain song.
That's what I was thinking too,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, they're kind of like a one-hit wonder then. 'Cause
Yeah.
nothing else.
I love that song.
Yeah.
Mississippi Queen's a great song.
Well, I feel like was that Foghat, Smoke on the Water?
Oh, yeah.
Smoke
that's a
on the
good
Water
song.
is that Deep Purple. Not,
That's
is that
Deep Purple.
Deep
That's
yeah,
Deep Purple.
Okay.
Foghat
But-
was Slow Ride.
Oh yeah, but Deep Purple, I feel like didn't really have anything.
There's a couple off the top of my head. I'm kind of ashamed. I should know this. There's a couple other things.
But I feel
there's
like-
a couple other songs I think you would recognize.
Oh, and I
if
just
you've
wouldn't
ever
know that they
listened
were Deep Purple.
Exactly.
So, who did that Thunderstruck?
AC/DC.
AC/DC
Yeah.
did Thunderstruck. You ever hear that Steven Seagal's cover where they're all hillbillies and playing it like in a barn?
No.
And they have like an accordion and shit.
Oh, is that
Nice.
like the something South or something?
No, you're probably thinking of Dead South. But, this is Steven Seagal's. Steve N. Seagal's. And it was super popular for a long time, like on YouTube and stuff.
Are there any actual seagulls in the band?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Steven Seagal.
And so they did that cover of AC/DC Thunderstruck, and it was great. And they came to Rascals, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
Did they really?
Yeah, it was like first like YouTube famous people that I ever got to see.
Like on the Rascals live side or like the old.
Rascals live side, yeah. And they were so fucking metal. Like I was going in expecting like a hillbilly show,
Yeah.
and they were super metal, and it was.
Like Metal Hillbilly, kind of like?
No,
Like,
well, maybe a little bit, but
they just-
it just threw me off so much that I couldn't really enjoy the show.
Like there wasn't a fiddle
it
or
was,
anything.
it was
I think
such a shock to your system.
yeah, they had an accordion. Hold on a second. Edit that out.
Good. It was perfect time. To open the
Yeah. But yeah, it was just a shock to my system. Is exactly what it was because I wasn't expecting it at all. And I bet if I went back and listened to it, I might like it.
Yeah. You know what I hate? Steve Miller Band.
Steve Miller Band.
Does everybody hate Steve Miller Band here?
I don't like him.
Okay,
I couldn't tell you.
just that's a category. Steve Miller Band.
Steve Miller Band. All right.
What are your thoughts?
Zero.
How about
Blank.
that as a bad interviewer there? Like, just your thoughts, please.
What's your thoughts?
Yeah.
I know. I can picture it in my head, but I couldn't tell you a song.
I feel like
Steve Miller Band?
Yeah.
when I think of
Take the
Steve,
Money and Run.
oh,
The Joker, you know. Yeah.
those are okay tunes. I mean,
I think I've heard them too much.
yeah. Well, and you know what? They're decent tunes. I don't know if I've ever looked them up and listened to them.
Yeah.
Well, I'm like, that's why I don't know, because it's like a 97X thing. Like one of those
Yeah.
songs you hear all the time.
Exactly.
And you don't really know who sings them per se.
Yeah.
But
Is Steve
You know
Miller
they're
like the front man?
Yeah.
Okay. Whenever I think of Steve Miller Band, I just picture that guy from like Chappelle Show when he does the music, and he like plays the different music, like fight scenes, and plays the different types of music.
On the Chappelle Show?
Cut that out.
What do you make? I think you made something up.
He's like a super handsome looking guy, really good at music.
John Mayer.
John Mayer.
John Mayer.
Whenever I think of Steve
That
Miller
was a
Band,
great
I just
sketch. I remember that sketch.
Yeah.
John Mayer. I don't know. John Mayer's another one. I don't know. Besides Your Body is a... I mean, I guess we're talking about John Mayer now. This is the John Mayer category.
Yeah.
Your Body is a Wonderland. You know that song, right?
yeah.
But, like, that dude is all over the place. Like, he was touring with the Grateful Dead for years.
That's
Really?
crazy.
Yeah. It was like the Grateful Dead and John Mayer. And it just... Yeah.
I think I've heard about him on podcasts, because then he started trying to do stand-up comedy.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, and the comedians were like, but then he would give them tickets to their show, and they're like, well, he's a phenomenal guitarist. Like, maybe he should stay in his lane.
Yeah.
I think he is known as like one of the better guitar players of the past, 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
He's kind of a virtuoso, but he writes songs like Your Body is a Wonderland.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I don't even know. Is there even a guitar solo in
Who
there?
does that song where they like tap it? Wonderwall.
Oasis?
Oasis.
Oasis. That's another one, yeah. That's probably a band. If I went back, I probably would enjoy some of it.
Don't
But
say that
yeah.
too soon.
I wrote it. I wrote a lot of it off.
Or in my radio listening days, that Butterfly song, Crazy Town.
that's a
Crazy
one.
Town.
They're a
Yeah.
one hit
Yeah.
wonder. They're a one hit wonder.
That's along the veins of, they sing Fly,
Fly.
Sugar Ray.
Sugar Ray.
Oh
Ray.
yeah,
That's one where that's
lit.
lit.
That's a one hit wonder,
Yeah.
too, for sure.
But Sugar Ray, they had that Fly song, but the rest of the album was heavier. It was like California, like a little bit speed metal.
Yeah, they were
Yeah,
kind of a heavier band.
Yeah, because it was like Speed Home California was one of their songs.
Okay.
But then their second album came out, and because their one hit was completely different than the rest of their sound, then they went more like that Sunday morning song, or
Yeah, they went where the money was, right?
yeah, exactly. So I feel like
Sometimes
super
you gotta do
sellout.
that.
You cannot blame a band for
I
doing
work a
that.
9 to 5, man.
Oh, dude, yeah. If I wrote, the Crazy Town.
Do you think, Dave, you could sit up there and play every day in and day out music you didn't believe in?
I don't know how much money are we talking about, right?
$100,000 a year.
$100,000, yes.
Okay.
How many days do I have to do it?
You're looking at
200.
I don't think you're getting that many gigs.
No. Well,
But less
to make
gigs.
$100,000, I don't know.
Less
Yeah.
gigs.
Yeah.
What do we got next? What do we got? Do we got Lyme disease Steve on there?
Yeah, we do.
That sounds a little fucked up.
I just had him down to
got a good
Steve.
flow.
Plum Steve.
Yeah. He says that
Crash Test Dummies.
Crash Test Dummies. He likes that song, but he doesn't like the Crash Test Dummies.
Yeah, I think I'm on board with Lyme Disease Steve.
But I could have swore that album, like I've heard at parties before and been like, oh, the rest of this album it's not bad. It's like bluesy kind of.
Yeah, there was another track on there I remember liking. I really like the Weird Al version of that
yeah,
song, too.
for sure.
Yeah, that's really good.
And then Daredevil Brian, he couldn't really think of anything because he's a really positive guy. And he's
Fuck
like,
that guy.
I don't
Yeah.
know. 'Cause
What's
he was
his problem?
He's like, I saw George Michael and he was cool. And he said, you two, like he saw their.
Fuck you two.
I
I hate everything about you two.
I think if I would have saw U2 in the 80s or even in the 90s, I would have been on board.
Yeah, well, he
And
saw
I
him-
might be on board now. Somebody hands me a U2 ticket. I'll go check it out.
He saw him in the
Free ticket's a free ticket, I
That's
guess.
correct.
360 tour, which was, I guess, the highest grossing tour to date.
Yeah.
Like, if you adjust for inflation, it's because they made $890 million on that tour. And if you adjust it for today's prices, that's like $1 billion.
Whoa, shit.
Yeah. And I am not a YouTube fan
No.
at all.
Some of the really old stuff is cool. I was in a cover band for a hot minute. I don't even remember what the song was that we covered it. And I was learning it. You know, I was given a CD, here, learn these songs. And I was like, who is that? Like, that's U2. I'm like, that's U2? That's not Sunday Bloody Sunday. That's not New Year's Day. What is this?
And that's
U2?
like, what, pre-Joshua Tree then? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably even like 2 records back.
Yeah, but the
Because
thing...
there's Rattle and Hum. It's before Rattle and Hum.
Oh, okay. So, way back. Machine.
Yeah, way back Machine.
And, yeah, the Beatles. Their bubblegum pop stuff is not my favorite. But some of it, like Yellow Submarine, some it's 30-40% of the White Album is not too bad.
I love Twist and Shout. Or Shake It Up. Is it Shake It Up?
I think it's Twist and Shout.
Twist and Shout, yeah.
Called. Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, they definitely were a good pop band, right? So I actually did think about the Beatles conversation before this because I wondered if it was going to come up. And my take, and I was thinking of it from this angle is I don't think there will ever be another Beatles again, and it's not because the Beatles were the greatest band ever. It's just because how things work now compared to how things were then, right?
Yeah.
How could a band or an artist now create that kind of cultural phenomenon? Like how it's so difficult now because you're competing with so much other stuff, right?
Yeah.
The Beatles were funneled through the radio. Like back then, my parents, you listen to AM radio and whatever that DJ was playing, that's what you got, right? Where did you find new music outside of it? And I kind of asked that as a question. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like you were kind of at the mercy of the DJ.
Yeah, now they have algorithms.
Well,
Play
now,
next.
now you can just go and I mean, there's talking about
Everyone's a DJ.
Yeah.
well, talking about being able to make a record in your bedroom like we
Yeah.
were earlier now, and there's just so much more music out
Yeah.
there.
Right.
And for a band or an artist to capture somebody's attention like that and create that kind of cultural phenomenon, I don't think it's ever going to happen again. So we look back on the Beatles with some kind of rose-colored glasses, right?
Because the whole Ed Sullivan and
Yeah, it's nostalgia, man. And the Beatles are phenomenal. And the Beatles deserve all the accolades they get, right? But because that kind of cultural phenomenon may never happen again,
right.
doesn't mean they're the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
That's the Beatles
Well,
argument.
because back then, how would you hear an English band in the States?
It came. Some radio station had to play it,
just
for
had
you,
to play
or
it,
it was on
yeah.
Ed Sullivan, right?
Right. Well, nowadays, if you want to find out some band from, I don't know, Ukraine, you can just type in Ukraine bands
Yeah.
and you'll get a list.
Yeah.
Back then, yeah, you're listening to the radio and they're like, these guys from Liverpool, England. And you're like, oh, what's this?
So, how do you guys discover new music? Like, what are the avenues you go?
Internet.
Yeah,
YouTube.
So, how do you listen to? Like most of the music you listen to right now, is it stuff you've already listened to, or where are you finding your new music? Or you do it through like Spotify or something, or
So for me, a lot of times when I find new music, it's because I'm down here in the basement, drinking a beer, sitting at the bar, just YouTube video after YouTube video.
are you searching, or are you letting YouTube?
It's
bring it
both.
to you, right?
I'm not letting YouTube play the next video. I'm scrolling down to see what's next.
What they're suggesting?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what's
I've found I have never liked all music. I've never been the guy that's been like, I like a little bit of everything, or I like everything.
Yeah.
That's a bullshit.
It is bullshit.
You don't like everything.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
I agree.
But I can now say this is the first time in my life I like a little bit of everything.
I like a lot of things.
Yeah. And like Prof is a rapper that I found on the internet. Really love him.
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of like Dolly Parton type stuff.
Yeah.
Like, 70s country.
Sure.
Like, I never thought I'd like that stuff.
Yeah.
And now I don't have to buy the CD, so it's easily
You're not making a
accessible.
financial investment.
Yeah.
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 How about you, Dave? Where are you getting your new music?
You fucking cut me off, you son of a bitch.
I'm the host now. Welcome to the Dave podcast. Dave, where do you get your new music from? How are you discovering things?
Public radio.
Oh,
Public radio is not bad.
Yeah,
No.
because Studio One,
yes.
they'll play new tracks
Yes.
from artists that I've not heard before, and I'll be like, that's interesting. Mm-hmm. And then
I find some stuff on there as well.
you plug it into the internet, and then like the next song, you're like, it's similar in vibe. Like,
Are you in your car sound hounding or Shazamming songs from NPR? Because I've done that multiple times.
Yeah.
I'll do that, or I'll wait for the guy to tell me what
Yeah,
they just played.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
There was an artist I just saw at the Raccoon Motel a few weeks ago where I had discovered him on like Apple Music indie station, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm in my car, and all of a sudden they're doing an interview with this dude, and he's like, "Yeah, my first show, first leg of the tour is going to be in Davenport." And I'm like,
Whoa.
"Awesome!"
Yeah.
But I never. First of all, I wouldn't have discovered him without just listening. Like I kind of just trying to find new music,
Right.
Just and working from home is a great place, or just people that can work and listen to music all day.
Yeah.
I mean, I find myself finding more new music now because of that. Just letting something play.
Yeah.
Well, I'm like not a big radio guy. I listen to a lot of podcasts now, so I don't get a lot of music input.
Yeah.
But I just heard on the radio this Rascalja, Hey Road, and it's very like gypsy metal-ish.
Okay.
It's got a good tune. Love the guy's voice, and it's like not a song I feel like I have heard a lot of like.
Yeah. Right. It's not a recreation of something.
And I feel like radio stations are maybe trying to do that a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, I think to Dave's point too, NPR it's not they're not giving you your typical radio hit.
Yeah,
right?
your mainstream stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, sometimes, but
Yeah.
not all the time.
Yeah.
I also watch a lot of indie movies, and a song will pop up,
Yeah.
and I'll either soundhound it or
Yep.
wait for the credits to roll
Yep.
and then see what song it is.
You ever watch a movie and then hear a song you know and be like, fuck, I never would have thought that'd be in a movie.
Right. Or I was even thinking as he was saying that there's a lot of TV shows now that like I'm discovering new music and then sometimes you go back and you listen to the song and you're like, man, it kind of needed that moment from the TV show that, you know, whatever that breakup scene was really kind of added to that song. And
Yeah.
It's not quite the same.
There was a TV show on Hulu, and I'm sure it still is. I can't remember the name. It's something kind of goofy. It's like normal sounding, but not a normal word. But it's all about like rat rods and gang type things. But in their first episode, they had like a big like clubhouse, like how gangs have like clubhouse.
Sure.
And there was a band playing, and I was like, what the fuck band is this? And it was called Daddy Longlegs, the band. And it's a guy and a harmonica singing, and then a guitar player and a drummer. And the drummer's got like a maraca in one hand drumming.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's just so fucking goofy.
Yes.
But they do a cover of a super, super old bluesy song where it's just one guy playing guitar, like a hollow body guitar with maybe a little bit of slide on it, and he's got a harmonica shoved into his mouth, so he can kind of play it a little bit. And as he sings, he like slurs a whole bunch.
Yeah.
And it's just like that was probably my biggest find in the past 5 years.
Yeah.
Daddy Longlegs, check him out.
I need to make a chill. I feel like I'm sitting here just
Rocking back and forth.
that sound.
Cut that out.
Yeah, no, I'm assuming that was a cut that out moment.
Right.
I don't know. I don't think last podcast that I edited anything. I put it up raw.
Yeah.
Unfiltered.
You know what? I edited some names. I don't like to have last names.
Oh, well, I keep saying last name.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is going to be a long episode to listen to and edit.
Edit.
I'm sorry.
And we have a couple of like 3-minute pauses.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Bob Dylan, The Man in Me or whatever. It was on the Big Lebowski.
Okay.
They played a lot on that.
Yeah.
Met a woman like you.
Charles Manson, you ever listen to that? That was shout out to the last episode, Colts.
Yeah. Well, I think on that spaghetti incident, Guns N' Roses, they have a song that was written by Charles Manson.
A Manson song?
Yeah. And I know...
if he hadn't have been turned down by music, that never would have happened.
I think Marilyn Manson does a song...
He would have to. That's a little on the nose.
Something about like monkey. It's off Smells Like Children. I think he has a Marilyn Manson song or Charles Manson song on that.
Really? I did not know that.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to see Marilyn Manson open up for Nine Inch Nails.
Oh.
And I had no idea who Marilyn Manson was. It was Marilyn
That's always a treat.
It was Marilyn Manson, the Jim Rose Circus, which is basically just the freak show where they were, dude swinging cinder blocks from his nipple rings.
Yeah.
The guy that would pull himself through a tennis racket, swallowing things and regurgitating them, which is a great opener. But before that was Marilyn Manson, and no idea who they were.
Yeah.
No singles that I remember. And it was the weirdest, creepiest, coolest thing. And this might go into that category of a band that I saw live.
Yeah.
And then once I started listening to the records, I couldn't. It never recreated that magic of that time
That
of me
live,
sitting in Carver Hawkeye Arena going, what is this?
Yeah.
He has a giant strap on swinging. And what is he doing? What is going on?
How do you guys feel about either listening to music on the way to a show or on the way home from a show?
Yeah, I'm generally opposed to that.
Yeah.
I feel like it's bad luck.
Yeah.
Really?
You don't wear the concert T-shirt either.
And you don't
Really?
listen. I mean, maybe the week leading up to it, you listen to them, but the day of, nah.
No, on the way to the show, no.
No, because it's just going to...
Whoops.
I made the mistake of... I was a Stevie Ray Vaughan fan back in the 90s. Actually, I was actually at his last concert, right?
What's one of his songs?
Stevie Ray Vaughan. I mean, he was if you ever listen to 97X, you've heard of Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Name one then, huh?
He covered Voodoo Child. He did a killer version of that. Couldn't Stand the Weather. What's some more songs?
All right, keep going.
Not important. Asking me to name the songs is not important.
Go to the
story.
Facebook group, Blue
Yeah.
and Lunch Podcast.
Yeah.
Drop a Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Stevie
But
Ray Vaughan.
he had an older brother, right? So, and he was in the Fabulous Thunderbirds, and it's a totally different kind of. It's a shitty type of blues,
Okay.
right? So Jimmy Vaughan was playing at the Blues Fest here in Davenport, and I made the mistake of all day like drinking beers and partying, right? We're listening to Stevie Ray Vaughan,
Yeah.
and like, oh, this is gonna be a killer show. And Jimmy Vaughan does not do that type of blues. He does like it's old boring white people blues, and it's bad. If you've ever listened to the Fabulous Thunderbirds, it's bad. It's not good.
No.
It's not good. So to answer your question, just don't listen to anything associated with the concert you're going to go see. Just sit in silence on the way to the show.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
One band that I discovered through a concert was Korn.
Through a concert. No kidding.
Yeah, it was actually the first concert I went to, and it was we were going to see Megadeth, and it was Fear Factor, Flotsam and Jetsam, Korn, and then Megadeth, and it was at the Palmer Arena.
Like Korn on the first record? Korn?
Yeah, first record Korn.
I like that Korn.
Yeah, because
I hate everything after that Korn.
we watched the first two bands, and then Korn's playing. I'm like, this is pretty good. And then he comes out with bagpipes. I'm like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
And he sings lullabies.
Yeah, and he started playing Shoots and Ladders, and it was like, like that's awesome. And my friend Jeff's like, I'm going in the mosh pit. I'm like, fuck yeah. And we like,
Yeah.
And that was my first concert. So we go running, and he hits the mosh pit and just goes flying to the right. And I'm like, I'm just gonna stand right here.
I love Palmer Auditorium shows.
Yeah, they were great.
I mean, is there still a thing? Is Palmer Auditorium still a building?
I don't even know if it's still a building.
Were you ever lucky enough to see any shows at Palmer Auditorium?
Never heard of it.
It's like watching a show in a basketball court.
Yeah, it was really. I saw Soundgarden there. I saw Primus there.
I hear a lot of good things about QC Live when it was a thing.
It had too many poles, right? So
It
there's
did.
a bunch of poles in the middle
Yeah.
of everything, right?
But I heard and I was never big into a lot of these bands, but Fallout Boy was there before they got big.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Stuff like that. A lot of good emo type bands were
That was
were
about
there.
that time.
Yeah.
That was that time.
Yeah. The Call Ballroom was a good venue before they stopped doing it. I saw Megadeth there, and I swear there was probably 1,000 people, but it felt like 500. It was very intimate.
That's awesome.
Like very small. And they had an opening band. I can't remember what they were called, but the guy, it sucked. And everybody in the pit sat down.
Oh my god!
And we started heckling them and be like,
that poor guy.
I know, we were
just
just
out
like
there playing
Tommy
his
Boy
songs.
shit, like,
yeah.
hey guitarist, there's a fat whale on your stage.
Yeah.
And the guy was finally like, I don't see you up here. And we're
Yeah.
like, fuck you. And they just left. Like, we heckled him off the stage.
I saw a guy.
Probably local.
I went.
Might have been,
Yeah.
yeah.
I went to a show up in Iowa City, and I drugged my wife there, and it was for Prof that I really liked. And we go to the show. The first girl rapper was pretty good, and then the second guy was all right, and then there was a DJ, and he just played music
Yeah.
and ran around on stage.
Yeah.
And I was not a fan.
No.
And it was like everybody was just like the mood was killed. And that went on for 30 minutes
Yeah.
of just him playing another song. He didn't almost say anything. He chugged a beer once, and then a guy came on and he was like fucking super Disney rap type shit. Terrible. And he was like filming the whole thing. And so I think
While he was rapping?
Yeah.
Like he had the camera?
No,
or
no.
Somebody, I didn't know if he's trying like...
somebody
He's got
behind
a
him was
selfie
filming
stick
it.
while he's
Yeah,
rapping.
yeah.
But this place, I can't remember what it was.
Gabe's.
But it was probably Gabe's. But it was packed
Yeah.
to see Prof.
Yeah.
And so he was probably just getting footage, and then he'll put his own music over it, you know?
Oh, shit.
But like he was getting like heckled on stage. It was terrible. We left, and like when we came in to see Prof, and we came back in, there was another guy, and we didn't even stay to see him. We immediately went back outside.
Yeah.
By the time Prof came on, we were just like, no thanks.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Oh, that sucks, man. So the guy you were there to see, everything before that just
Sucked so
the
bad
energy out of you.
that I left.
I feel like rappers up there,
So
rappers and stand-up comedians, right? You're up there, you're kind of on your own, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times, you know, there's not a full band. You know, you're rapping to your tracks, right?
Yeah.
Like,
You might have
to
a
me,
DJ
that's
behind
tough.
you.
Yeah, you're on an
Yeah.
island.
well, I think the show wasn't put together well.
Sure,
Like-
like these guys might have sucked. I'm just saying in general. I
Yeah.
feel like that's a tough gig. I think.
Yeah.
It's a tough gig.
Well, when I saw Marilyn Manson, he had a DJ open for him.
Oh,
and it
really?
was some chick from the UK and like had all these creds behind
Yeah,
her.
yeah.
But then when you're just playing, it wasn't a dance club. Like it wasn't
Yeah,
the right place.
yeah.
Like
for
I
that
can understand
music.
you get a DJ on a gig or a tour to play in between bands during setup and teardown.
Yeah.
Like that makes sense to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
But for a DJ to play a whole
I saw
Show.
I saw
Yeah.
Tool. It was DJ Tricky opened up,
Okay.
and there was a dude Tricky. Tricky was an artist, and we're like, oh, it's Tricky. No, it's DJ Tricky.
Yeah.
and it was pretty bad. And then afterwards, Maynard, you know, during the Tool set, I was like, I hope you guys can open up your hearts and minds to DJ Tricky. And it was like, boo, boo,
Yeah.
boo, your opening act, Maynard, boo.
Boo.
Tool always has some weird openers, especially back then. Weird openers.
but that's kind of what they are, right? Just they're kind of weird,
Tool?
like maybe pushing the envelope type thing.
Yeah.
But that's kind of maybe what made them popular. Was there any bands before Tool that sounded like Tool?
Interesting.
Mm.
But what's funny is what Tool is now was not what they were then either,
Yeah.
right? You know, they had some radio hits, right, that were 4 minutes long. Now their radio hit, the last record is like a 10-minute long song.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that the weed or whatever?
The Pot.
The Pot,
The Pot
yeah.
was off 10,000. But you
Okay.
go back to Sober. Like, Sober is
Yeah.
their big hit. That's, again, Dave Hughes High School, how I remember everything.
Right.
Sober came out in like 93, 92 or 93.
Yeah. Well, that had a really good video. Tool had good videos
Yes.
back in the
Yeah,
day.
directed by the guitar player, I believe.
Yeah.
I believe. I want to see how many times we can just keep coming back to Tool throughout this podcast, right?
Yeah.
Right? How we doing? How much you got?
Yeah.
We got almost 2 hours on this one.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll get cut down though.
No, I know, but that's good.
I don't know. There's not a lot to cut out.
Except all those points that Dave says cut out.
Yeah. Leave them in. They're
yeah,
fun.
leave 'em in.
It turned into a drink. Every time Dave Hughes says, cut that out.
Including this one.
Yeah, they all count.
Right. It's like listen to Jammin'. Bob Marley. You ever play that drinking game?
No. Bob Marley's another one I never get. I don't get reggae.
I-
Reggae is not for me.
I want to get I wish I could get into Grateful Dead.
No, not for me.
I like trucking, but like everything else I hear is just like
I went to a Grateful Dead concert.
Yeah.
It was awful.
yeah,
Really?
But I was there for fun. I was there for the party. You
yeah,
know, I really-
which seems like what it is.
Yeah,
you're there
we
for
had
the
terrible
party.
seats. We were like, it was at Soldier. It was the Soldier Field. It was like the last Jerry Garcia
Yeah.
Grateful Dead shows. We had terrible seats. It was 3 days after Pearl Jam played their famous Soldier Field show where they took on Ticketmaster.
Okay.
So I was just there like 3 days earlier for Pearl Jam, and Pearl Jam was killer. And then we come back for the Grateful Dead. It just no, actually, I got that backwards. Cut that out.
Flip
There's
it.
Grateful
reverse it.
Dead, and then 3 days later was Pearl Jam, and there was still a bunch of Deadheads in the parking lot. Right?
Yeah.
So. Grateful Dead. But again, not for me. It doesn't.
Yeah.
But they still, again,
Huge.
like I said earlier, John Mayer touring with them. They still get crowds. They're still doing
Yeah.
big shows.
Yeah.
I don't even know who's left in the band.
But a lot of the band broke up and started their own bands, like jam bands.
Yeah,
And I guess it's more of a lifestyle.
it is. I dip my toe into the jam bands. Like
Yeah.
I'm not ashamed to say that I saw Fish a couple times live, guys.
Okay.
This is a confession.
Or
Okay.
slightly
is this
stupid.
Is this a safe space?
It's a safe space.
No, it's
Down
not.
here
You're
in
gonna
the
get heckled.
Good. And I didn't like. So the last time I saw Fish, again, always kind of there for the parties, right?
Yeah.
Killer drummer.
Free drugs.
Songs were okay. I didn't do drugs. I work for the government. Cut that out too.
It's the government part.
Yeah,
Damn it,
the
man.
drugs part.
Dave's too punk rock to work for the government.
Yeah, right. So, no, you should probably cut that out.
All that.
Yeah. It's a Fish show. So the last time I saw a Fish show, and when I realized I'm over this, is when the entire row in front of me, every time they would play a song, these dudes would just take out their notebook and write down what the song was so they could get the set list, because it was about like, what songs have you seen them play live?
Wow.
Like it was set list comparison. This
That's
is late
weird.
90s. It was really weird. And like robotically, every time they'd start a song, these dudes would pull out their little notebook, write down, okay, it's down with the Z's, got it.
Yeah.
And they put their notebook back. I'm like, you're not even enjoying this. Like, you're just here to get like
Some
it's
sort
like,
of street
it's like
cred.
checking off boxes. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I saw that song finally.
Yeah.
You ever
It's like a fish scavenger hunt.
you ever like go see
Right.
There's no winner.
you ever go see a super small local band and get the set list or something?
Oh, take the set list like
Yeah.
off the stage.
Yeah, I love that shit.
I always like to
The goddamn Gallows would write their set list on like on a porn page.
I think
from out of a
the new Duncan Imperials used to do that too.
Yeah.
It was I used to like to when you see a semi big band at a place like Ribco or Rascals Live or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Like just get up there and like sneak over and look at the set list. Like
Yeah.
stick your head over the monitors.
Yeah, what you gonna play?
Yeah.
Which is totally like ruining the surprise. It's
Right.
like going to the end of the movie, and then starting over. But
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. Hollywood Dave, you got anything else?
I don't think so.
Actually, you know what? You're just the commentator. Podcast Dave, you got anything?
I think I pretty much covered everything.
All right.
I have some thoughts on what Dave just said.
Hey, thanks guys for making it all the way to the end here. Hope you found some good tunes to listen to, maybe some tunes to avoid. But I had a good time. Did you have a good time, podcast Dave?
Yeah, it doesn't even feel like we did however long we did.
No, it does not. What about you, Hollywood Dave?
I had a great time.
Yeah.
I'm
thanks.
looking forward to doing this next year.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks
Hell
for
yeah.
coming down. Hopefully, we can have somebody else down here too. And I think, like you said when I was texting you earlier, the more the merrier, man.
The more the merrier.
Yeah.
More input, more color commentary.
Yeah, for
more
sure.
people with ideas.
Well, thanks for listening. Check out the Facebook Blue River Lounge podcast on Facebook. We'll try to put up videos or what do you call that, Spotify's or something for some of these bands and stuff.
Yeah.
Links.
Yeah,
Links to
links.
things.
You want to say so long to anybody?
No, there's nobody.
Okay.
No,
Well,
absolutely
then
not.
a general goodbye to the people, Hollywood.
Well, Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah,
Right?
thanks for joining
2023.
us. Stay safe. Be good to yourselves.
Yeah, and remember, if it's too loud, you're too old.
Damn.
Nice.
All right. Bye.
Yeehaw.
Yeah, cut out all that drug.